mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue through Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87. Then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking for mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
So Facebook's parent company, Meta, they have settled. They are paying out billions of dollars in settlements to 47, I think, states to say, okay, this is because of what social media platforms have done to kids, or maybe it's more accurate to say what kids have done to themselves and to each other through social media. Well, among the states that settled with Meta is Missouri, and at 8:05 today, Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is going to be with us to explain what happened and what are they going to do with the money that is brought in. All right, good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Mike Ferguson here. Of course, Flashback Friday just right around the corner. Be sure to send in your Flashback Friday bump music request to Jerome. The big news this week, and people are still reeling a little bit from this, it's not just a celebrity death, but Dolly Parton passing away. Boy, that really impacted a lot of people in a very emotional way. There was something about Dolly Parton that most everybody really connected with. Well, somebody who worked with her when she would come to St. Louis was Mark Langston. You'd remember him from WIL Country Music Radio. He worked with her, interviewed her a number of times over the years with his legendary career. And he joined us on Wednesday's program to kind of give us his take, not just on what he experienced with Dolly Parton, the person, but his observations as to why her passing has really affected people in a very personal way. Here's what he had to say. There are hundreds, thousands of artists who make it onto the radio, and now you'd say Spotify or YouTube or whatever the case is, but there was just that something, that it factor that stuck out with Dolly Parton. Basically from day one when she was first exposed to everybody through, I think it was, TV shows and
Porter
radio
Wagner,
play.
I think.
Porter Wagner. And, he basically referred to, she's not a dumb blonde. And of course, that was part of the song that she was singing a minute ago. And she's turned out to be unique in every aspect of the word unique. I mean, so this song, just something grabs you about it. And I'm not a country music guy. I mean, I grew up on country music.
The original was Crystal Gale, I think, and was a beautiful song. I loved it, but I love this even more.
Yes. All right, country music fans, you may remember Mark Langston, WIL,
sure.
country music DJ, also the mayor of Maplewood for a little while, and that's an uphill battle I wouldn't wish on anybody, but I'm glad that somebody tried. So, Mark, I'm not talking about the politics of it. You got to connect with Dolly Parton a time or two over your career. Let's start there before we get into her career and ripple effect and the the professional side of it and the personal impact she had of it. What was it like to talk to her and and have that sort of working relationship with her, even if for a short time?
Thanks, Mike and Susie, for having me. It's kind of a very sad day. This is kind of our first day without Dolly Parton, and I never thought that it would feel like this. And it seems like the whole world is kind of mourning Dolly. And when you played the song "Here You Come Again," it kind of gave me chills as well. Like you said, I was in country music in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s. I was a music director, so I was really right there on the front lines when all of these many new artists came on: Brooks and Dunn, Billy Ray Cyrus. Just so many artists that came up then. And Dolly, of course, was already well on her way, but she seemed to be reinventing herself all the time. I guess I'm dating myself, but I remember when Islands in the Stream came out, and we first played it on the radio. And that's just an example of how a year or two would go by when you hadn't heard from Dolly Parton, and then all of a sudden, here she was back again on top. She had so many number one hits. I think I read somewhere it was over 20, 25 number one hits, something like that. but even without the number one hits, she contributed so much to country music. And meeting her, we would take folks backstage to meet Dolly Parton. They were always very excited about meeting Dolly. But I can tell you, she was, and you probably heard this said so many times on TV, on your show, just in the media, that she was such a kind person. And it's hard to just use that word kind, because she really was. It was her heart that was always out there, that was always extended to the public. And she loved everyone. And you didn't feel like, I mean, she was a huge star. She made millions of dollars, gave away millions of dollars. But she treated you like you were family. And I think that's real important. We would laugh about her hair. I mean, I had an opportunity. I'm very lucky, very blessed to have been able to see and be with Dolly on many occasions. And a wonderful thing about it is she always remembered you. Now, I don't know if her manager said, "Hey, that's Mark Langston, the music director from WIL." Pardon me. But she would remember. She remembered faces, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. And she just was always so friendly. So we would laugh about that. We would. She just loved people. And she brought a smile to so many people's faces. And one time we were talking about it. She's very short. Dolly Parton was a very short lady, and we got to talking about how tiny she was. And she said, I only have a 19-inch waist. And I'll never forget that, because it was like, wow, I can't believe you're telling me how big your waist is. But I can't believe you're telling me how big your waist is. So I know I could go on and on about her kindness, and it just doesn't seem like the right word. Loving, kind, good person. We really have, and we have lost a treasure here in the United States. And she extended so far with her books, her imagination library. I know it finally went to other countries as well. And can you imagine being the first thing you got in the mail in your life was a book from Dolly Parton? So, I mean, she just moved so many. I'm talking a lot. That's a politician.
That's okay, Mark. I have a music-related question for you specifically, because, I'm guilty of this, I know. Kind of take Dolly for granted, because she's just been everywhere. She's been part of the fabric of our culture for my entire life. And you hear Dolly and it's Dolly. There's something distinctive about her voice. Whether she's doing one of her own songs or covering someone else's, there's something about her, the quality, the way that she takes the melody and turns it into something different with her voice. Can you speak a little bit to that, about like the different covers, the things that you all played of hers that really seem to resonate either with you or with your listeners?
Well, it's funny, we'd get a brand new Dolly Parton single, and, you kind of go, well, Dolly, she's been around for, so many years. Just how can we play another Dolly? We want something new and exciting. And let's see what she has to offer. And then they'd start to get legs of their own. You all of a sudden start like 9 to 5. I mean, it's a toe tapper. I Will Always Love You. Oh my God, what a song that was. Her songs would surprise you. They were very surprising. She was a true traditional country artist. Country music is kind of American music. It grew from America. It grew from Nashville, Music City. And Dolly was always true to that mantle. So there's just so many songs. I wouldn't even know where to start. I Will Always Love You, of course, is just one of the biggest ones. I think that all of us remember. But Here You Come Again. In fact, I'll pull up some, and that'll josh my memory a little bit.
Well, while while you're doing that, I mean, normally this is the time in an interview where I reset and tell everybody, remind you that we're talking to Mark Langston. But if you're in St. Louis, you know that voice.
Yes.
That's Mark Langston from WIL, all those years, country music. But going beyond the music, Mark, we just got a couple minutes left here, is like Susie was talking about, was the fact that she tended to relate to everybody. And I just thought she was always a fascinating dichotomy of so many things. We throw around the word icon a lot, and most of the time it's just slang. But with her, she truly was an icon of our culture because she was over the top with her look. And, she would joke about, like you said, with her looks and the plastic surgeries. And, rumor was that she drove Kenny Rogers nuts when they toured together because she would joke out loud about all their plastic surgeries. And so in all that case, she was talking about the over the top image, but she still came across as humble in a servant's heart. She was somebody who stayed out of the politics and the culture wars. But I would always say that Dolly Parton was the one person that everybody could agree on, from Baptist to drag queens. And everybody had, something to like about Dolly Parton. If you didn't like Dolly Parton, there was probably something wrong with you on that. How does one person accomplish that? How did Dolly Parton become somebody who was bigger than life, but at the same time a humble human being?
A humble heart. I mean, that's the first thing, Mike, when you say that, a humble heart is what comes to mind. And it's so hard, I think, for many of us to kind of express and tell folks, unless you've met, it's like having a baby, I can tell my friends, wait till you have that baby, it's going to change your life. It's the same thing. Until you've met Dolly Parton and been with her, she's interested in everything that you have to say. She's interested in you. She cares deeply about you, which is why I know she gave so much money to so many people that were hurting and needing so much. We were starstruck by her, and she was starstruck by us. I know Billy Ray Cyrus, I have a good relationship with Billy for many years, and he toured with her, and he would talk about Dolly all the time. He opened for Dolly years ago, and he just adored her, and to the point where he asked her if she'd be the godchild of Miley Cyrus as his daughter. But Mike, she was just kind, good-hearted, caring. She didn't care where you were from, how much money you had, or where you grew up. I mean, she just warm. I wish everyone had an opportunity to meet her personally, but you can certainly look through the knothole on the fence and know that Dolly was there for all of us. She cared for all of us, and it's an overwhelming, Mike and Susie, I know we're running out of time here. It was just overwhelming to see the outpouring of caring for this one woman, one little tiny woman with a 19-inch waist, what she's done to this country and to our nation, and how many people she's touched around the world is just amazing. All
right, Mark Langston, all those years legendary on WIL. Thank you so much. And one of the things, true to form, her family says that she requested that in her honor, don't send them flowers to Nashville, send donations to the Imagination Library program. All right, once again, remember, Flashback Friday coming your way here, obviously tomorrow, because, today's Thursday. So send Jerome your Flashback Friday bump music request. Just make sure it's from the 80s. Free for all this weekend. No theme. What do you want to hear from the 80s? Let me know, and then we'll be all set for a great Flashback Friday right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Scott, can you believe it's already been more than a decade since the Queen of Carpet sold flooring to St. Louis area contractors?
I know, but I don't have to be a king to offer contractors today's lowest prices.
Yes, contractors owe it to their customers and themselves to shop at Best Buy Flooring for the largest in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile.
Plus 3 convenient locations, North County, South County, and Metro East.
Open 7 days a week.
Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Every 40 seconds, a child disappears. That's 2,000 children every single day. Find the Children is a nonprofit organization fighting to bring them home, but we can't do it without you. Your unwanted car, running or not, can help find missing kids, reunite families, and support the search and rescue efforts that protect children every day. We'll pick it up fast and free with a 24-hour response, and your donation may qualify for a tax deduction. Find the Children provides crucial resources to help locate missing children and educational programs that teach kids how to recognize and avoid predators before it's too late. Together, we can give families hope and bring children home where they belong. Donate your car today and help bring a child home. Find the Children, because every child deserves to come home.
800-757-1340. 800-757-1340. That's 800-757-1340.
This advertisement was paid for in partnership with Cars R Us and Find the Children.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, those door-to-door salespeople, they can be annoying.
Yes.
When was the last time you had somebody knock on your door and try to sell you something?
Legitimately or just in general?
Yeah, just overall. I mean, you know, the last time for me it was, I want to say about 6 months ago. But
Yeah, probably about a year ago. It wasn't actually my place I was at. It was my uncle's house. But somebody came up and was trying to sell us some kind of weird cleaning supplies. And I'm not sure it was even legal or legitimate, but it was there.
Yeah, it was phone and internet service.
Oh.
Young guy was knocking on my door trying to sell. He was not taking no for an answer, you know. And then finally he took no for an answer. And then I think he started hitting on me, which was really weird. It was really weird. You know? And I'm like, that's like, okay, conversation's over, you know. But I'm not making that up. I finally said no to the guy like 3 or 4 times. And you know, I've been through sales training. I've done it. And I went, listen, man, I said, I get you're trying to make a sale. I said, I've just given you the third objection. Every sales manual says at the third one, you got to recognize the objection. Mm-hmm. And so I started talking his language. He's like, okay. Man, you've got the coolest beard, man. That looks really good. And I'm like, oh, okay, you can go away now. You know, I'm like, okay. But the bigger picture here is that Wentzville, and I don't know how the vote went last night. We're going to talk to Dan Fox from Mid Rivers Magazine in a little bit. I found this interesting. They were talking about writing in ordinances to make it illegal to go solicit door to door in their community.
So we got rid of panhandlers in one part of the state, and now we're getting rid of solicitors.
Well, maybe. I mean, depending on how they voted on this. So I think I just found that really interesting. And I was texting with Dan and talking to him on the phone, and I think he's like, it's a local story. I'm like, no. I think this is a kind of a big deal because then you've got The other questions, like, okay, so if the kid's not allowed, I say kid, he's probably 22, but to somebody my age, so if this were to happen where I live, and I don't live in Wentzville, but, they would say that, okay, you're not allowed to go knock on the door saying, hey, we can give you a better deal on internet service or whatever. Hey, would you like to buy some pots and pans, or what was it that they were selling, cleaning supplies? Yeah, or whatever the case is. Oh, okay, well, if you've got a sign that says no solicitors, okay, that's a private property thing. I think that's fine. If you say, no, thank you, leave, okay, then at that point, I think you're trespassing. And I think the laws already cover that. But is there a free speech issue until you're told go away? And then it becomes a property rights issue. So I want to get Susie's take on this in a little bit. But then what about, hey, do you have a church home? Would you like to come visit our church? Or, hey, we're doing a food drive for whoever. Would you consider giving us some of your tomato soup, or okay, or anything like that? So that you're threading the needle, and the bigger question is it the government's job to stop what's annoying? If they're trying to defraud you, that's already illegal.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, because on the other hand as well, you can't just treat it like it's trespassing, because if there's a sidewalk that leads up to your property, then that's still public access. So you can't tell the mailman, hey, don't deliver mail here no more, because it's part of their responsibility of doing that. And at the same time, being a door-to-door salesperson is still a job, even if you're not happy that they do it. And I've been in that position, so I understand it was annoying to deal with me. But yeah, making it a speech issue.
Well, yeah,
it's interesting. That's an interesting approach to that.
And so that's going on in Wentzville, and they had the meeting last night. And I'm not going to lie, Dan will be able to tell us what happened, because I don't know how the vote went. But they were talking about it a week or so ago, and then they set the vote for last night. And assuming that still happened, we'll have some kind of update. I just think it's an interesting, bigger picture question. And it's kind of funny. I actually got offered a job when I was in college once. It was in Columbia. I was at Mizzou at the time. And they were trying to hire college kids to go door to door and sell knives, cutlery.
Yes, that was a common one.
Right. And so I went through their interview process. They pulled me aside. They offered me the job. Like, you had good communication skills and et cetera, et cetera. Whether I do or not remains to be seen 30 years later. But we'll see. And I'm thinking, all of a sudden, I'm going, wait a minute. Because my hair was even longer than it was now. I was like a full-on metalhead,
Nice.
I mean, I'm still a metalhead. I just don't have that much hair. But, I've got more hair than most people. But I had really long hair, and I dressed in, the denim and stuff like that. And at some point, the self-awareness kicked in, and I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You want somebody who looks like me to go knock on doors saying, can I come in your house and show you knives?
Someone did not think that one quite through.
I did, and I went, maybe this isn't the best fit.
Instead of just cutting your hair and not looking like a maniac.
Oh, I'm not going to do that.
Good move.
That's right. That's right. I have standards, Jerome. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get Susie's take on that here in a little bit. Also, throughout the morning here, Meta settles this massive social media case. Missouri could get $100 to $150 million on this. 8:05, we are going to talk to Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway about that. And also, we'll have the basic details for you in the news dump in about 55 minutes from now.
It's not pleasant to hear it, but Missouri is falling behind in its spending of state tax dollars, education, and health care. But there are ways to get Missouri moving forward again and produce a better life for all of us. That's why we at the Show Me Institute put together a 2026 Missouri Blueprint, a roadmap on how the state can move to a brighter future. The blueprint covers policy ideas from taxes to government transparency, from education to health care and budget reform. Let's allow students to attend the school of their choice. Let's adopt new proven methods to help the many school kids who can barely read. Let's limit state spending growth for Missouri's long-term financial stability. And let's invest in future needs with more nuclear energy. Why not common sense reforms to make things better for all Missourians? Check out our 2026 Missouri Blueprint, moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet. I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rates you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. 273 and counting. That's the death toll from the catastrophic flooding, the massive rock and mudslide. It swallowed up and swept away entire villages in Nepal along the border with Tibet.
Authorities say a glacial collapse and a massive surge of water and mud through mountain valleys, destroying roads, burying buildings, and cutting off communities. Across the border in Tibet, hundreds remain unaccounted for as helicopters and rescue teams continued searching for survivors.
Correspondent Ken Lorman says 1,300 people are unaccounted for, with many tourists, including Americans, among them. Now an international search and recovery effort is kicking into high gear, with the U.S., China, and the EU all involved. A military judge has set June 5th of 2028 as the starting date of the trial for an alleged 9/11 mastermind.
Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was captured in 2003 in Pakistan and then subjected to extreme interrogation techniques, including waterboarding. He was transferred to the U.S. naval base at Guantanamo Bay in 2006. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed is accused of directing the plot to crash hijacked airliners into sites including the World Trade Center on September the 11th, 2001, in the biggest terror attack ever to take place on American soil, which killed nearly 3,000 people.
The BBC's Warren Bull says a trial had previously been scheduled back in 2021, but that was later canceled. Kids under 18 will soon see a host of changes to their Instagram and Facebook accounts, thanks to a historic $18 billion settlement between Meta and 48 states. Meta agrees to take steps to keep kids under 13 off its platforms and teens in age-appropriate accounts, and to enact a hard limit of 2 hours a day for users under 18. These are among other changes to be implemented as a result of that settlement. Townhall.com.
Are you carrying more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Do you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill, making payment after payment, month after month, yet never getting ahead? If you're tired of watching your hard-earned money disappear into interest charges, there may be options available to help you take back control of your finances. At Total Financial Freedom, they'll show you what qualified consumers may be able to save through programs designed to help them resolve debt faster than making minimum payments alone. The consultation is free, confidential, and comes with absolutely no obligation. question. Why spend years, sometimes decades, paying thousands in interest when there may be a better path forward? Total Financial Freedom is a Christian-owned company that has helped thousands of Americans pursue financial freedom for nearly 20 years and is proudly A-plus rated and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now and ask how you can receive a complimentary copy of The Debt Dietitian. Stop running in place. Start moving toward financial freedom at 866-844-7344. 866-844-7344.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert 4 forecast. We're going to continue to look at mostly sunny skies, highs towards mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue into Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87, then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking for mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Hi, this is Congresswoman Ann Wagner from Missouri's 2nd District. I work every day to put more money in your pocket, secure the border, protect our shared Missouri values, and keep our communities safe. Whether it's visiting one of my public events in neighborhoods around the district or by contacting my office, I want to hear from you. If you need help with a federal agency, please contact me at wagner.house.gov.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
On the next,
Larry Connors, USA.
The story behind the story, the USS Nautilus, the first nuclear-powered submarine.
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting duck, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, you remember that situation of Lisa Clancy, St. Louis Councilwoman Lisa Clancy, being spotted swiping campaign signs right before the primary?
I had forgotten about it until you mentioned it.
Right.
But yes, I do remember now.
You remember that, Jerome?
What's
so the St. Louis County Councilwoman Lisa Clancy, right before the primary election, she was backing Senator Brian Williams, right? And she was spotted by a St. Louis County police officer stopping in the middle of the road in Clayton and grabbing one of Williams' signs and throwing it into her car.
Oh, yeah.
And the police officer said, man, it looks like there's a bunch of cars. And they figured out that it was Lisa Clancy. And so that made the news, and we talked about that. And I think all of us here were like, yeah, nothing's going to happen to her.
No.
She's a county councilwoman. Okay, well, I've got an update on the story here.
Oh.
What's the update?
Nothing's going to happen to her.
That's
the update, as expected.
So she's getting away with the crime of the century here.
Basically, yes. She's clearly a criminal mastermind. No, so what happened is St. Louis County Police said, okay, well, this happened in the city of Clayton, so we referred it over to Clayton. Clayton goes, yeah, county police they don't tell us which crimes to pursue and which not to. This is not a priority. We're not worried about it. And so the Post-Dispatch, to their credit, followed up on the story. Joe Hollerman did. And I saw his article on it, and he asked the county prosecutor, and they say, neither one of those police agencies has sent us a thing. There's not been, they haven't even pursued any sort of charge on this. And so essentially what's going to happen is they're going to go, we don't care. So now,
bigger fish to fry,
which, you know what, I get that. I do wish that even what's looked at as kind of these petty, campaign era things, because signs, there's always a story every year about somebody swiping somebody's sign. It just happens every year. It's stupid, it's petty, but it does go to, free speech issues and things like that, assuming the signs are where they're allowed to be and all that kind of stuff. But if you or I were out there spotted by a police officer swiping signs of a political opponent or something, there's a chance we're getting a citation. We may have to pay our $50 fine or apologize
no one's going
or
to
whatever.
jail.
No, nobody's going to jail over it. No.
I think the appropriate punishment would be that person has to hold the opponent's campaign sign up and,
That's right.
basically campaign for them.
She should have a sign and a picture like, I love Jake Zimmerman.
Jake Zimmerman is the best.
Yes, because that's who beat Brian Williams in that primary. So, bottom line is, I think is it possible that they're going, we really don't want to tangle with the St. Louis County Councilwoman? Maybe, but it probably has more to do with the police are like, we got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
Or combination.
It might be a
of the
combination
two.
of the two.
Yeah. But that's the update on it, because we're about to see that. Well, we're already seeing a bunch of signs everywhere. The signs for the general election, it's funny because I saw a lot more during the primary, which makes more sense in Missouri.
In Missouri, yeah.
Because the general doesn't. I mean, the primary's decided.
The real competition is decided in August for most of the races.
Yeah. So what you're really going to probably see as much or more of anything are the pro and anti-Amendment 3 ones. Yep. That's what we're going to see. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of those vandalized and a lot of those stolen as well. The yes on 3 ones are going to be vandalized and stolen. The pro-Amendment 3 people, I suspect, are not going to be doing that very much. I'm not going to say never will, because somebody will be a zealot and they'll steal somebody's sign. Listen,
don't do that.
The anti-Amendment 3 side, they're on the wrong side of the issue, but don't steal their stuff.
That's just dumb.
Yeah.
It doesn't help the cause.
Well, and even like during the last election, and I'm not getting into...
It's not going to save lives.
No, it's not. Well, and I saw a number of, especially when I was, where was I? I was in, I want to say the Baldwin area. There were Manchester and Baldwin area.
Mm-hmm.
I saw right before the primary a number of Amendment 5 signs vandalized, spray painted. Yeah, I saw everything from swastikas to just an X to a big no. And somebody went around with black spray paint and hit, I saw at one point within, I want to say 2 or 3 miles of driving between Manchester Road and a little bit north, a pretty nice neighborhood, pretty nice area. And I saw 3 or 4 vandalized with the same color spray paint right before the primary election.
Yeah, nothing says fascism like wanting to eliminate the income tax.
Right. Yeah, precisely. But yeah, and of course, I looked at, of course, by then we already knew that thing was going to go down in flames. But I'm just thinking, you hate the facts so much that somebody thinks different than you, that you're going to
on taxes.
Yeah, on taxes, and you're going to destroy their property.
Yeah, I mean, some of that I would chalk up potentially to maybe teens, younger people, just looking for something to kind of mess up that's not really super consequential. I mean, I think you could say maybe some of that could be
possible,
but
it was all the same sign though.
Based on what we've seen. Yeah. Maybe they're young in relative terms, or maybe they're a bunch of old aging hippies.
And well, yeah, and honestly, that's more of my suspect right there.
A roving band of awfuls.
Yeah. Yes. Of course, I think you can safely blame them for a lot of stuff right now. But I will say, to give credit where credit's due, I did see a couple of the anti-Amendment 5 Facebook groups put a picture out and say, "Don't do this." That you're not helping our cause. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree. Because there were a lot of fair questions about that, but that just ain't the way that's doing. And with Lisa Clancy, I just don't get the being so offended that somebody's going to vote for the other guy, that you're going to go take their stuff. So it was dumb. Should she go to jail for it? Of course not. But, should she get a little embarrassment, slap on the wrist? Yeah, I think
the
she
last
should.
thing that you just said could apply to Lisa Clancy just across the board.
That's true.
It was dumb. Should she go to jail for it? No. But should she be embarrassed? Yes.
That's right.
That pretty much kind of encompasses her career.
Here's who should be embarrassed, are all the people in her district who keep electing her. Because she's going to get elected unopposed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could this not be considered, though, perhaps censorship, like a First Amendment violation, because she took it upon herself as somebody that is serving as a government official, to go out of their way to remove somebody's sign, which essentially counts as speech?
There is, okay, so let me add to his question from a legal perspective, and then just from a moral, personal, ethical perspective. I think you could ask that 2 different directions.
Yeah, I mean, she is a government official. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a stretch.
Yeah.
Maybe is she acting in her official capacity when she's doing that, or is she just being
I think she's an activist,
a personal brat?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that.
I think that would be the biggest issue is that, she's not doing that as officially,
right,
a part of her duties as a government official. So
from a legal perspective, maybe not.
I think probably not.
From a personal behavior, ethical perspective.
Well,
sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's just anytime you're trying to shut somebody else up and keep them from speaking, you're interfering with their, freedom of speech. Now, whether or not you're violating their constitutional rights may depend on, the circumstances.
I mean, what she should have done is the much more effective way to win every race, which is take a selfie of you flipping off their sign.
Definitely.
And putting it on X and Instagram.
Extremely effective.
That's how you win campaigns now. Yeah. All right.
You also have to post a video of yourself crying about it.
Yes.
Please go sit in your car and have a meltdown and share it with everybody on the internet.
That's right.
I really am impressed by people who do that.
The best intellectual conversation comes from people recording themselves in the front seat of their car.
Yeah. 100% it does.
Absolutely.
I've often felt like I'm missing that opportunity by not spending more time.
I was going to say some really important stuff here, but I'm like, no, I'm in a studio here. I need to go into my SUV.
Okay. Concept idea. Concept idea. That was redundant. Concept. I haven't had my coffee yet.
It was very unique.
It was very unique.
It was redundant all over again.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Why don't we do the show from a car?
I'm in.
I mean, I feel like that would probably be like the perfect backdrop. People would be. I mean, what was it? What was the?
The boss keeps telling us to reach out to the 20-somethings.
What was that show about the cab rides? The
Cash Cab.
Cash Cab.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
Yeah, I mean, Dashboard Confessionals. Is what I was thinking
I
of.
don't know that one.
No, I was thinking of the Seinfeld one where they're just driving around in a car and they're having.
Oh no, I'm thinking of like a show that was based exclusively within the car, and I think that's right.
I don't know that one. I just know the Cash Cab where the guy asked him trivia questions.
Basically, though, you use the car as the setting, and then you don't. I mean, it cuts production costs.
I say we do it. I say we do it. Yep. Hey, I'm sorry. You got one more?
I was just going to say it's going to be very difficult for me to steer the car and run the board while you guys are doing it.
We have faith in you, though. We do.
And we're like, we won't be allowed to like keep drinking during the show.
Well,
it's open
at least
container.
not on camera.
Now, I'm just saying what happens during the breaks and the information segments here just stays off camera.
It stays in Vegas.
I mean, you seen our boss Joe's office?
Yeah.
He's got a bar in there. That's why
Don't let the secret out.
That's why I took the job.
All right. Well, in other news, Meta says it's going to make their social media platform safer for kids, and they're paying out a lot of money as part of the settlement over safety and privacy complaints. We're going to go over the details of that at 6:20.
See your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. You wanna do that now? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
What are you waiting for? Get up, get up, get up.
All right, when is a fence not just a fence and a deck not just a deck? Well, when you consider where the materials come from, when you consider who is doing the improvements on your home. Hey, you probably heard U.S. and Canada getting into another little tiff under trade war. One of the things that means is that lumber is going to get more expensive in this country. However, if you're using American-made products, you're going to avoid those tariffs, and that's what my friends at STL FenceWorks do. Mike Ferguson here for STL FenceWorks. The website, stlfenceworks.com, really easy to remember. One of the things that they're going to do is quality work. Listen, look up their reviews. Yelp, Better Business Bureau, you name it. What you're going to find are people who are thrilled with the quality of the fencing they put in or the decks that they put in because, first of all, it's done right. It looks beautiful. It adds to the value of your home. It makes your home that retreat. But let me tell you what else it does. These are materials that don't have to be sanded and treated every year or every other year. You do it once, you do it right. You don't have to deal with the crap that comes from doing it haphazardly, which is what so many people fall in the trap of doing. Check them out. STLFenceWorks.com. Find out what they can do for you. Click on the estimate button. You can even get a virtual reality look at what your property would look like. STLFenceWorks.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, who's at fault when kids are on social media too much, and then who should pay? That's that big question with the settlement. Now, this is a settlement with Meta that's in the news that we're going to be talking about throughout the morning here. But also, that's not ending with that, because there are some states that are going after different social media platforms basically for the same reason.
Yeah, it's not just Facebook,
right?
Or Instagram,
Meta. Yeah, almost all U.S. states are getting a cut of that Meta settlement. I think it was like 47 states. I think were involved in that one, including Missouri.
Mhm.
Missouri is going to get over $100 million, possibly up to $150 million in this. We're going to talk to Attorney General Catherine Hanaway about it at 8:05.
Okay.
Actually, as well. All right, 6:20 right now. That's Susie. That's Jerome. My name is Mike here. I want to get to that in just a second. We're going to talk about this in the 7 o'clock hour, but I want to get your hot take on it first.
Okay.
Okay. We mentioned, Jerome and I mentioned this. We had a lot of people react to it. Wentzville is looking at a possible ordinance to ban door-to-door soliciting in their community. You know, those salespeople that knock on the doors and everything. Because, Jerome then immediately went, well, wait a minute. So St. Louis County is talking about banning panhandling, and the community in St. Charles County is now saying, okay, door-to-door soliciting. Now, the vote was going to happen late last night. I have not seen coverage of what happened. We're going to talk to Dan Fox at 7:35. One, I'm interested in how the city council decided to proceed with this, but I think there's a much bigger question, which I find fascinating on this.
I was just about to start a door-to-door panhandling service, and now they're crushing my dreams,
Yeah, I'm wondering what the impetus. I mean, have
Right.
there been a bunch of overzealous Girl Scouts or Fuller Brushmen?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So Dan's going to be with us at 7:35. We'll get the update on it. I think that, they can be really annoying. I get that. I've dealt with them too. But the question comes down to...
I don't know if you can enforce that.
Yeah.
There
'Cause
may
they're-
be constitutional issues with it, and I don't know how, from a practical standpoint, you...
Yeah, because that was one of the debates is, are you actually going to write an ordinance that says you could spend, 30 days in jail or something like that for repeat offenses? And
Someone knocked on my door and
fines.
calling the cops. I mean, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
We've all had that feeling where you kind of want to call the cops because someone's intruding on
Right.
your peace and quiet. But, just knocking on your door.
Yeah. 7:35. I think.
Okay.
See, I think your reaction's I was I saw that. I'm like,
But is this really that big a problem? That's what I'm wondering.
I don't know.
Or is this a solution in search of a problem?
I don't know. And then, what else does it cover?
I'm going to grill Dan.
Yeah.
Be ready, Dan.
Well, Dan's just covering it.
Well, I expect him to be fully informed.
Oh, he is. He always is. All right. 6:22 now. Okay, so Meta settles. There was the trial that was happening in California. This is one of those rare things where it didn't matter whether it was a blue state or a red state. There were all kinds of states going after Meta, Facebook, Instagram in this case. Now, this is going to be separate from a lawsuit against Snapchat. And, of course, we've had, complaints about TikTok and all that sort of stuff. But in this case right here, Meta essentially says, all right, here's, it's going to be like $17.1 billion, which is a massive amount of money, unless you're Meta, which is probably not.
It's all relative.
It's all relative, but it's going to be paid out over like 10 years. So they'll be able to keep the lights on in their Meta offices. So a couple questions on this. One, they say, okay, here's a bunch of safeguards that we're going to implement. And they're looking at some things that I think more people will agree on than the bigger picture, which is whose responsibility is it when kids spend too much time on social media?
Well, it can be more than one.
Yeah.
The answer to that can be more than one person or entity.
Right. And that's where a lot of that, and Bonta over in California, the attorney general there, and I've got a soundbite that's going to be in the news dump here in a little bit. He basically says the trial was not going well for them, which is likely why they decided to settle, and we didn't give up anything.
It's typically a good sign.
Yeah.
And that could be him putting some spin on it as well, but usually if folks settle in the middle of trial, it's because they feel like, we're not getting a good read off of
the way
it.
this is going. And so you've got that question there, and then other questions about, okay, they're going to use more AI tools to try to weed out young people who are lying about their age. Stuff like that.
Okay.
Because the accusation is, come on, that 10-year-olds are getting on here. They're putting up accounts. Their 9-year-olds are doing it. It's happening. You're just winking and nudging because, you get to collect the data and you get to market to them.
Probably not so much Facebook anymore, but on Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Facegram. Work off.
I've said it before. I've been informed by my 20-something daughter I am not cool enough to be on Instagram, so I'm not on Instagram.
I am, but I always forget. Yeah, but I feel like, there's not a lot of 10-year-olds like just jonesing to me on Facebook.
Well, part of the issue, though, is also like private chat groups and stuff like that. That
Yeah.
they're trying to crack down on.
That's true.
One of the ones that I use for myself, they've actually implemented a list of like terminology or specific things to the younger generation so that they can auto-detect if people are using it within certain groups so they can try to crack down that way.
Well, it's funny because you'll see, like, even on like the Reels videos and a bunch of these others, people will like misspell words to try to get something across because they're trying to avoid the bots.
Yes.
People
do that on X.
Yeah, then they're trying to get around these, and I couldn't imagine that they haven't picked up on that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's still working or not. But one of the other aspects is these kids are getting addicted to it, and therefore it's Facebook and Instagram's fault. It's Meta's fault because the kids are getting addicted to it. You're pushing this to keep kids on as long as possible. You're pushing it to keep older kids and even adults on as possible. Well, what's the difference between? I mean, is that being basically the digital drug dealer, or is that just marketing because they have a business and they sell ads to people who have eyeballs on the screens?
Well, there is something to be said about the fact that they do intentionally design their sites to be as addictive as possible. It's not just it happens to be something engaging that people are drawn towards. It is they're using marketing data and they're incorporating design elements and experience elements with the intention of trying to get you to hook to maximize screen time.
Okay, so let me play devil's advocate a little bit. I write this show in hopes of keeping people listening as long as possible. What's the difference? Or watching as long as possible. What's the difference?
That's a fair point.
I mean, that's fair. The difference is we're good people, and they're not.
Because we're good people. I think part of the issue is that there was some misleading information being put out by them, and they were not being forthright about what methods they were using. Yeah. There was some deception going on there. So I think that led to some of the more stringent accusations. The bottom line is, like I was saying before, it's not just one person or one entity's responsibility. Facebook Meta can have some responsibility, even while parents should have responsibility. And it depends on the state, but most states have what's called comparative fault. So if you find Meta liable, they're 60% liable for this, and the parents are 40% liable, and the jury says, okay, we're giving you $100 billion. Well, they're paying $600 million, whatever.
The damage is worth this, and then
Correct.
Your percentage is that.
Yeah,
okay.
so just the fact that parents do have a role here, absolutely, and do have responsibility, doesn't negate Meta's.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So again, these are questions I'm going to have for Attorney General Catherine Hanaway at 8:05.
Oh, good. I've helped you prep.
Yes, totally, absolutely with that. Because this is one of those where this is the small government guy in me. I'm like, okay, there are questions about. Listen, parents should do better. A lot of them, yeah, heck yes, 100%. Kids should stop being scoundrels and sneaking around the rules. Sure, because I never misbehaved and got around the rules. Because I'm saying that because I'm pretty sure my mom's listening in New Hampshire.
Hi, Vicky.
I never did that. Oh crap! Did I just violate the assertion that we never lie about stuff?
I don't know, but you just said crap. That wasn't nice either.
I know.
Watch your profanity.
I know.
Language, Michael. Language.
Language. But so those are just things that happen, and then at the same time, it's like, okay, that's my question is, where's the role of government in this? Maybe there is one in there. I'm just always skeptical of government saying we don't like this or our people don't like this. Kids are being harmed, and I know that there are kids getting harmed on there. What's the government's job in making people act smarter? And I'm willing to hear all the answers on it, but that's where I default in my skepticism of things.
Well, part of government's role, I do feel that there is, within the Constitution, I mean, the idea of domestic tranquility, for example, is part of the government's responsibility. So this might sound like a massive stretch. If there is something going on, taking place, that leads to behaviors that are ultimately, what?
The folks on social media are funny. You guys were calling me out for saying crap, and they said, Mike, you should have said CR@P.
Yes.
Not crap.
That's how you get around.
That's how I get around it. That was good. That was good.
The way that social media is being used right now by specific groups of rowdy teens and such is encouraging and incentivizing a reward sensation for that sort of misbehavior. Like the teen takeover stuff is oftentimes linked to social media. And
that's the platform they use to coordinate it.
Yeah. And so to not have something in place saying, look, this is having real world effects, once it starts getting away from, and I'm not saying cyberbullying is good, but once it goes from that to like, hey, let's all do like a flash mob and rob a store together because they can't catch all of us and put it online, I do think government has, for the good of everybody, a role to step in there.
Okay, so Susie, could this be comparable to if a 15-year-old goes into a liquor store and buys some booze, and the clerk looks at the kid, knows that he's underage, and says, "Oh well, you gave me an ID. I'm sure it's real. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Give me $20.
Your money's still green.
Your money's still green." Is that similar to some of the arguments that were made against the social media companies saying, these kids, because it is in many places, if not federal policy, kids are not supposed to have their own accounts under the age of 13.
Right.
And we know that happens. I've known kids personally who had accounts, when they were 10 and 11. So, I mean, I've known that happens. So is that comparable to those laws? Because if the clerk at the liquor store, sells a 16-year-old booze, knowing full well or suspecting full well that they're underage, sure, right? They should absolutely have some liability.
I think there's an analogy there.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, and I do think that's one of the aspects of what was being alleged here.
Yeah.
Another news, when the nice lady in town offers you a home-cooked meal, you take it.
Yes.
So why is her local government telling her to stop that until she files the right paperwork? We're going to explain what's going on coming up here at 6:35.
Morning people are good, pure, moral, honest, hardworking, and upright. Night people are bad, immoral, dishonest, lazy, and downright.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch with your First Alert 4 forecast. We're going to continue to look at mostly sunny skies, highs towards mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue through Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87, then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking from mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Got scrap metal, junk cars, or old appliances taking up space? Turn that clutter into cash. Since 1968, 21 Recycling and Scrap Metal has been the area's trusted name for recycling. We buy copper, brass, aluminum cans, scrap iron, wheels, catalytic converters, AC units, water heaters, washers, dryers, and yes, junk cars too. With our brand new truck scale on premises, getting paid is fast and easy. Old Highway 21 by Highway M or 21-recycling.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
What if your body isn't broken? It's just missing the right conditions to heal. This week, discover how chiropractic, inflammation control, and cellular health work together to restore resilience. Built to heal. Don't miss this powerful conversation.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney. Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Your trees do a lot for you. Shade, beauty, curb appeal, but are they safe? Clever Tree Service has been protecting St. Louis homes and landscapes for over 20 years. Pruning, trimming, removal, stump grinding, even 24/7 emergency storm service. Fully insured, eco-friendly, and always focused on you. From Kirkwood to Chesterfield, Webster Groves to Wildwood, your neighbors trust Clever Tree Service. Visit clevertreeservice.com for your free quote today.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson from Newsmax. Excited to meet you at the St. Louis County Lincoln Dinner, September the 19th. Be sure to check out my show, Rob Carson's What in the World, Saturday at 3 and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. on Newsmax. And be sure to subscribe to the daily Rob Carson Show podcast. Now back to my buddy Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Is this a matter of public health? Is it a matter of overzealous bureaucrats? A Missouri woman's cooking is making national news. She's cooking for the friends and neighbors in town.
How dare she?
Local government not having it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say get a permit, file the paperwork, or knock it off. Now I got to give credit. This is in Central Missouri where this is happening, but this has now made national news.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to give credit to a friend of mine who does a radio show in Columbia, Jeff City, named Gary Nolan, who I think put this on the radar, and it picked up. And now the Goldwater Institute is involved with that, and their lawyer, who's been on this show a number of times, I've known Dave forever, is with us right now. Dave Roland is representing the kindly old lady who is, I don't know how old she is, but the kindly lady who is it's a better image.
Grandmotherly woman
making the scrambled eggs. And so, Dave, lay the groundwork for this. She's not running a restaurant, as I understand. Is she selling the food, or is she just having a big potluck? Some mornings.
She is not selling the food. So let's give a little bit of background.
Yeah.
The town that she lives in only has about 300 people, and they have one place in town that sells food, and it's a gas station called H-Town. Up until relatively recently, H-Town offered breakfast in the mornings for sale, and it was the local gathering point. So all the farmers, all the old-timers would come over in the morning, they'd get their breakfast, and they'd sit around, and they'd talk about crops and rain and prices and things like that. Well, H-Town decided it was no longer economically feasible to sell breakfast in the mornings, and all of a sudden the community lost its gathering point. And Kathy thought, you know what? We need a place where people can get together and socialize in the mornings, and if no one else is going to do it, I will. And so she told people, you know what, just come by my house. You can sit there. I'll provide coffee. I'll fix you something to eat, and we'll just, we'll socialize. So this went on for a couple of months, and it was great. She had, between 8 and 20 people dropping by each morning, and it was all going well until someone filed an anonymous complaint with the health department, and the health department says, "What? Someone sharing food with somebody else without our permission? We've got to get involved." And so they send this letter warning her that she's got to install a commercial kitchen, and she has to jump through all these bureaucratic hoops. And oh, by the way, now her home is going to be open for public inspection at a moment's notice, and she's not allowed to tell them to go away because she's running a food establishment, allegedly. Now, let's be clear. This is a woman welcoming guests into her home, and while they're there, offering them a bite to eat. That's all this is. She's not charging anything. People kept offering her money, and so she eventually put out a little tip jar, basically, so, if you want to contribute anything, you can, but you're never expected to. And so this is just basic American community and hospitality. This is the kind of thing that Americans have been known for even before the era of the Republic, way back in the colonial days. It was extremely common for complete strangers to go and knock on someone's private house door and say, "Hey, I'm sorry, could you put me up for the night? Could you, share a meal with me?" And Americans would do it. It was one of the things that de Tocqueville talked about in Democracy in America, this extraordinary hospitality that Americans showed even to strangers and to foreigners. And so Kathy is just part of this great American tradition that now the government is trying to stick its nose into, and we think that that's unconstitutional.
Good morning, Dave. This is Susie Moore. Where's the line as far, it sounds to me like she's not running a commercial operation. She's basically doing, Thanksgiving dinner for friends and family over and over again as breakfast. And then, there's obviously, aside from the COVID days when they wanted to regulate that, it doesn't seem like most people would feel like the government has any business in being involved with that. So is there a line that can be drawn legally in terms of it not being a for-profit, commercial enterprise?
Yeah, there's a very easy line. So historically, again, if you look back in the early days of the Republic, taverns and inns actually were pretty heavily regulated. And the difference was if you were holding out an offer of accommodations for compensation. So if Kathy was charging people for the food that she was providing them, that's commercial in nature. There is actually a historical basis for the government involving itself into this. Now, whether they should or not, that's a different issue, but there's at least a historical and potentially constitutional basis for the government intruding itself there. But this is a private home, and she's not charging anybody anything, and therefore it should be completely outside of the government's legitimate authority.
We're visiting with Dave Roland from the Goldwater Institute. Dave's been on the show a number of times because you've had other food-related cases where somebody's trying to give away food to help somebody else, and I know there was a case in St. Louis I think you and I talked about a few years ago. So this is in mid-Missouri, but this is catching national attention probably because there's somebody pretty much anywhere, whether it's a church or a ministry or a neighbors or a whatever, that's doing something like this. And my guess is what a lot of people are doing is seeing the headlines. I mean, you were quoted in Fox News. I was reading that story this morning on this. And a lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute. Does this mean that our little night out in the community celebration and everybody bring something is somehow going to be regulated? I mean, is this a matter of government saying overall we will have oversight of who gets to feed who what? I mean, how big does this go? Which is why I think a lot of people are reacting to this in kind of an emotional way.
Yeah, your intuition is absolutely correct. I mean, so sharing food, even with strangers, is really just a central part of American culture. We're about to kick off the college football season for this year. And what do people do before college football games? They tailgate. They get together, they cook food, and they share it with each other. Again, complete strangers. Then you pointed out a lot of people for Thanksgiving dinner, they'll welcome other people into their home, not even necessarily family members. When I was growing up, my mom used to welcome people new to the community who didn't have anywhere else to go for Thanksgiving, used to welcome them into our home for Thanksgiving dinner. That's precisely the kind of thing that would not be permitted under the food code, at least as the Columbia Health Department is trying to interpret and apply it. Potluck dinners at churches, backyard barbecues, block parties, all of these are situations where potentially people could be sharing food with each other, not on a commercial basis, but just because that's what community does. And so if the government is allowed to intrude into Kathy Kite's home and dictate to her what she's allowed to share with guests in her home and on what terms, then that represents a remarkable and unacceptable expansion of governmental power.
But if not for the government, who's going to stop people from eating the exploding diarrhea lettuce or something like that?
Well, that's one of the things is uncut fruits and vegetables is one of the foods that the food code says is not likely to cause foodborne illness, and yet that is what has been the leading cause of foodborne illness for the last 6 weeks or so. And so you're right to mock it, because the bottom line is people share food with each other all the time. Most of the food, and the vast majority of the food in this country, is home cooked. We don't have recurring epidemics of foodborne illness as a result, because people are actually pretty decent about managing food. Common sense takes care of a lot of this. But in Kathy's case, she's actually trained on how to prepare food. You remember I mentioned H-Town, the gas station. She worked at that gas station preparing food for the people that came there. So she knows how to handle food. She's been trained. She has the certifications, and she applies the same standards in her own home. She wears gloves when she's fixing the food in her home because she knows that's the best way to take precautions and limit the risks of foodborne illness. So she is sophisticated. She understands the concepts of food safety, and the likelihood of any kind of problems as a result of the food that she prepares is extraordinarily low.
Dave, what's the legal status at this point? It sounds like she's been given kind of a warning letter, but no actual legal action has been taken. Whose move is it?
Well, so we have not actually taken legal action yet. What we did is we responded with our own letter, and we said to the health department, we need to understand exactly what you're saying here. What part of the food code are you saying applies to someone who's not charging any money at all for the food that they're sharing with guests in their home? What part of the food code says you're allowed to reach into someone's private residence and dictate what food they're allowed to share with their guests? What are the penalties that you presume to apply if she continues as she is providing food to guests in her home? And so we asked them to provide answers by tomorrow. Now, they haven't provided us answers yet. They have responded to some of the media requests, and by all accounts, they seem to be planning to double down. They seem to really plan to move forward to try and regulate her or potentially punish her if she doesn't get in line. And if that proves to be the case, then we anticipate filing a lawsuit to put them in check.
So bottom line, Dave Roland from the Goldwater Institute, just got a minute or so left here. So the bottom line is it's not about the scrambled eggs. It's about the limiting the government.
It's about the Constitution, Mike. That's what it is. It's about the Constitution and ensuring that Americans have the freedom to live their lives as they see fit with minimal government intrusion, and especially when it involves what you do in your home with your own guests and what food you can offer to your own guests.
Okay, Dave, and we want to follow your work on this case, get in touch with what you're doing with the Goldwater Institute. What's the way to do it?
GoldwaterInstitute.org is the best place to check up on it.
Easy enough. Dave Roland, good talk to you again, my friend.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Dave. So I don't know if you guys know this, but it's Friday Eve, which
It
means
is.
Tomorrow is Flashback Friday, which means we want your bump music requests so that we can know what good Flashback Friday music to play for our bump music. Jerome, I think if I remember correctly, we don't have a specific theme. It's kind of like
free-for-all.
Free-for-all.
Yes.
So get your requests into Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Free-for-all Flashback Friday.
That's easy
I was
for
going
you
to
to
add
say.
another F adjective,
Oh,
but the FCC
better be careful.
won't let me.
Be
but-
careful there.
Jumpsuit, cover me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Once I realized I hadn't been fully informed, I sought to find the answer. Some of the answers I don't like.
On News Talk STL.
Susie Moore here. I don't know if you guys know this, but yesterday was National Dog Day, but I'm here to talk to you about different sort of thing. Mattress dogs. You know that I love rescue dogs, and I was excited to find a locally and family-owned mattress store that loves dogs as much as I do. Their mission is simple, to help families sleep better with honest advice, premium products, and exceptional service. Today, Mattress Dogs has grown to 5 locations around the St. Louis area, offering the latest sleep technologies and America's most trusted brands all under one roof. Now is the perfect time to visit during the biggest sale of the year, their Labor Day sale. Save thousands on Tempur-Pedic, Beauty Rest Black, Sealy Posturepedic, King Coil, and many more. Plus, take advantage of savings up to 70% off retail on select clearance mattresses while inventory lasts. And because every member of the family deserves great sleep, they also carry premium orthopedic dog beds for your best friend. Visit any of their 5 Mattress Dogs location or shop online today at mattressdogs.com. That's mattressdogs.com. Better sleep for the whole family starts here.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, EIFS, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps show here, reminding you don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J. Steakhouse, Freddy's Market, 21 Recycling, and Perk It Up Coffee House.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, folks, it's Chris Salcedo, your liberty-loving Latino on Newsmax. Hey, everybody likes Mike. Mike Ferguson in the morning, News Talk STL.
A law enforcement group in Missouri says they support limiting Flock's use of surveillance data.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
basic
different.
basic details here, and then we'll get into, I think, the bigger picture in just a little bit. Social media, paying up. Will that make being online safer for kids? Remains to be seen.
Question.
The Cardinals almost won last night, so that's an improvement.
Almost.
Baby steps. Baby steps. All right, 6:50. Let's go ahead and do our first news dump of the day here.
The Morning News Dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
The Missouri Sheriff's Association says they support adding data collection limits on license plate reading camera networks. Now, Association President Matt Euler says he tells Missouri Net they want to see limits not on collecting it, but on how the tracking data can be stored. And some sheriff requirements want that the camera vendors like Flock to be required to delete that after a specific time.
And they're not already required to do that?
Apparently, as of right now, no. There's no.
I feel like we're getting mixed signals
well,
on this.
there's no laws on that really regulate much of any of it now in the first place.
Yeah.
There were some laws proposed last year in the Missouri legislature, didn't go anywhere.
Okay.
We talked to Nick Schroer not too long ago, and he says there are going to be some proposed this year, too.
Yeah.
So the Missouri Sheriff's Association says basically that after a certain amount of time, unless there's something that's active in an investigation, it should be required to be deleted. So we'll get into a little bit more about that because it does bring up a bunch of new questions. There's what they're saying should be limited, and then what they're not saying should be limited as well. Now, this comes as multiple communities around the state are ending their contracts with Flock in particular over privacy concerns and data collection and storage and abuse of the systems and basic just overall pushback that's got a lot of momentum behind it right now.
Yeah.
And you just told me a second ago there's some news that's just popping up. What do we got?
Well, in our last segment, we were talking about this lovely grandmother lady from mid-Missouri trying to feed people, and you referred to her as an old lady. And I was like, I kind of feel like I saw a picture, and I'm betting she's younger than me. She's 55.
Oh, she's my age.
She's younger than me. So, little old lady, no.
Yeah.
Grandmotherly, yes. Unless you're going to start calling me a little old lady.
You're within arm's reach.
Do so
I'm
at your
not
own
gonna
peril.
do this. When you're within arm's reach, I'm not going to do
Just
that.
saying. Okay.
Because she knows how to defend herself. Okay. Let's see here. Oh man, I didn't hand you guys the news.
I know. I'm going blind.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Flying blind here.
Yeah. All right. So Secretary Pete Hegseth taking time yesterday to recognize who we now refer to as the Freedom 13. Those who were killed in that that attack on U.S. forces in Afghanistan 5 years ago yesterday. Here's part of what he had to say.
When the wicked sought to sow terror, these men stood as lions at that gate, bold in their purpose, fierce in their resolve, and unbreakable in their courage.
And among those who were killed, as you obviously know, that was Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz from Wentzville as well. All right, let's talk about some hacking technical stuff. Another attack, it looks like, has actually happened here. The DOJ announcing Wednesday that law enforcement has disrupted a hacking operation that they say was conducted by China. And everybody who is surprised by this, please raise your hand. Nobody?
Nope.
Nobody?
Zero surprises here.
Nobody said, okay, all right. Okay, so U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche was on Fox's America's Newsroom that those responsible were sponsored by the People's Republic of China directly, and they were targeting multiple government entities such as the U.S. Senate and NASA. And he also warns another attack could be coming in the future.
They're going to reload and try to come at us again. And so this is a fight that we're going to continue to have. But this is a great job done by the FBI and National Security Division here at Main Justice and then the Southern District of California U.S. Attorney's Office. DOJ
releasing a statement saying the group that's responsible is known as QTFY, and they used platforms called QScan and QT Router to target sensitive U.S. networks. Court documents show that the group offers computer hacking services to paid customers, such as the People's Liberation Army.
That sounds great.
Yeah, precisely. Okay, it looks like St. Louis County Councilwoman Lisa Clancy will not have any consequences for stealing at least one campaign sign before the primary election. Clancy was supporting State Senator Brian Williams' campaign for county executive, and police say she was observed taking down a sign for Jake Zimmerman, who ended up winning the Democratic nomination. Prosecutor's office says neither St. Louis County Police nor Clayton Police have followed up with any charges.
Big shock.
Yeah.
Big shock.
Big shock, precisely.
No justice, no peace.
No signs.
Yeah,
as well.
That too.
All right. The several states once again suing to block the Trump administration's effort to restrict mail-in voting. There's a new lawsuit, and it's focused on the new rules that the Postal Service announced that would require states to provide a list of eligible voters and then to overhaul the envelopes used for the mail ballots. Arizona Attorney General, her name is Chris Mays, blasting the new rules.
Over my dead body is that rule going to go into effect. We are going to fight this tooth and nail in the courts.
Lawsuit comes after the Supreme Court issued an emergency order allowing the administration to continue with efforts to restrict mail-in voting. It's not the end of the case, but they're allowing the order to stand. President Trump says mail-in ballots lead to fraud. President himself, it's funny because he's voted by mail, but he's in one of those categories that people tend to not really disagree with. But media really likes to point that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little hard for him to just fly down to Florida for the day. I mean, I guess he could fly down there for the day to vote, but that does seem to be like a reasonable reason to vote.
Right. Meta agreeing to a $17 billion settlement, I think it's $17.1 billion, with dozens of states that had joined a lawsuit accusing the company of trying to get children addicted to their platforms and then illegally collecting the personal data of children. California Attorney General Rob Bonta claims that the states really didn't have to give up anything to reach the deal.
We, if you will, overperformed in our settlement and delivered more results to children and families and parents across the country than we could have got potentially in our litigation.
We're going to talk about this in more depth a little bit later with Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Meta also agreeing to add child safety measures to the social media platforms, which the California Attorney General said will be made in the coming months. Meta says it was an, quoting here, absolute imperative to protect teens on its platforms and called on other tech companies to add similar safety measures.
I'm not really sure how that's going to what that's going to look like from the user's end of it, but
right. Yep, and that's not the only lawsuit in the works. Pennsylvania Attorney General, his name is Dave Sunday, announced this week that he's suing Snapchat and he's accusing them of doing the same thing, addicting children and putting them at risk. The Pennsylvania Attorney General accusing the company of designing features that keep vulnerable users coming back.
Snapchat ingrains in our kids' mentality, the more I am on Snap, the more friends I will have, and the more socially accepted I will be.
Now, how much of that, is just marketing?
I don't know that there's a clear line.
Yeah, and that's where the
little
lawsuits
murky.
will figure out. Very much so. Cardinals lose their fifth game in a row despite scoring 6 runs in the fifth inning to tie the game. Last night's final score was Orioles 8, Redbirds 7. Orioles scored the winning run in the top of the ninth inning. The series wraps up this afternoon starting at 1:15. I looked at my app, and the Cardinals either haven't announced who's going to be the starting pitcher or whoever the pitcher is just doesn't want the embarrassment of being listed as being the pitcher for the Cardinals right now.
Could be.
Hey, Columbo here, ready to take your next shot? Then head to Bluff City Outdoors, your destination for the best archery gear, from traditional equipment to compound bows to high-performance crossbows, all from the biggest names in archery like Hoyt, Matthews, 10 Point, and more. Whether you hunt, shoot target, compete in 3D, or just shoot for fun, make your next shot at Bluff City Outdoors. 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alden. Don't forget Bluff City has all your fishing and trapping needs covered as well. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
This is Stacy with Reach Reproductive Health. Join us October 22nd for our annual Reach Gala at the Factory in Chesterfield. It will be a night of incredible live music and inspiring stories, and we're excited to finally reveal our keynote speaker, Michael Gosling, birth son of Michael McDonald of the Doobie Brothers, who will share his powerful story and adoption witness. You won't want to miss it. Register or sponsor a table at outreachforlife.org/gala.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The United States is among countries rushing aid to the scene of a catastrophe in the Himalayan region. Massive wall of water along with a mountain of mud, boulders, and other debris demolished entire villages in Nepal and neighboring Tibet. At least 1,300 people are missing, including hundreds of tourists, dozens of Americans among them. Now, the Tibetan side of the border.
President Xi Jinping himself issued instructions yesterday for all-out efforts to go ahead to try to ensure that anyone alive is rescued. We heard from the People's Liberation Army and the Air Force. They did manage to get an aircraft in the air to try to survey the area, but it does seem that even getting near the affected region is extremely difficult at this time. Not only are they dealing with high altitude, but they're dealing with the aftermath of this disaster, which seems to have blocked all roads, and still communications are blocked.
The BBC's Laura Bicker reporting on the Chinese response. The death toll, at least 273. A homecoming soon for some American service members. They've been at sea for quite a while.
The USS Abraham Lincoln originally deployed last November from San Diego, and it arrived in the Middle East in January. There it supported the U.S. war against Iran. Now it's finally on its way back home after more than 250 days at sea. The record deployment raised concerns amid reports of deteriorating mental health among the crew and supply shortages. But Thailand's defense ministry says the Lincoln and its crew will get a break next week on their way back home, making a stop in Thailand for some rest and recovery. I'm Ben Thomas.
Another tanker has been hit with some sort of projectile in the Strait of Hormuz, that according to the UK Maritime Trade Organization. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 33 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert 4 forecast. We're going to continue to look at mostly sunny skies, highs towards mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue through Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87, then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking for mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Whatever the season, you always have a great reason to reach out to Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com for all your tree care needs and so much more. Tim Jones here to remind you Hanson's is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care, amazing organic mulch, green resource recycling, land clearing, and so much more. Hanson services the entire St. Louis metro, and they also provide their full array of services in and around the Lake of the Ozarks. From tree care to storm cleanup to awesome mulch and more, check out Hanson's at hansonstree.com. That's hansonstree.com.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
Digging without having your underground utilities marked is like driving with your eyes closed. It's dangerous and irresponsible. Before you break ground, contact Missouri 811 online or by simply calling 811 to request a utility locate 3 working days before starting.
Stop before you dig. Click or call 811. Every dig, every time.
It's the law. Sponsored by Missouri 811.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
New you guys going, what in the world did I just get myself
Weirdos.
into? I don't think he's on camera, but we have a new addition to the News Talk STL team. Hey, Lauren, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Yep. So he's kind of seeing how we do
Good
things.
sport. He did the Kofifi dance
He did the
with us.
Kofifi dance and everything with us. So you're going to see and hear him from time to time, and he'll be doing what Randy's show at some point. I think so. Yeah, exactly. So welcome to News Talk STL here. Okay, not the story that's the world is hinging on here, but at what point does the finders keepers principle apply here?
Ooh.
Okay, here's what happened. The cops were involved
hitting me
in
with
this
the cold.
situation. Here's what's going on here. What would you do? You're in the store and you're walking through and you find some bills on the floor. $30.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy something. You can get something decent for $30 at a place like Walmart, which is where this happened, was in Georgia. The cops ended up getting involved in this. I'm not kidding. This is what happened here. Police in Georgia, they went on Facebook looking for a suspect who found $30 on the floor in Walmart and went, and put it in his pocket and walked on. And then they ended up putting video and still shots of him up. And the guy eventually came forward and was like, here's the $30.
Suspect?
Yeah.
Suspect for what?
For taking the property.
Which isn't illegal.
So here's what, okay. So here's,
they skipped right past person of interest?
Yeah, but that's according to what they said here. So here is, let's see here. This is Police Chief Michael Persley, who is they're in the town here. Now this is from, you're going to hear some music on there. This is like from the tease that the local TV station did. So here was his argument when people were saying, really, guys, the cops are involved in this situation here?
We don't pick and choose. You know, if something is reported, it's no different than shoplifting. The store wants us to put out the information, we put out the information. And somebody may say, well, it's just $30. But if you've ever been in a situation that's all you had left, and then somebody took it from you, that will put you in a bad spot.
So after the post from the police department went kind of crazy, the guy, like I said, did come forward. He's like, here's your $30. They didn't release the name, and the quote-unquote victim decided to not press charges.
I've got a problem right here.
Yeah.
Victim, suspect, and someone took it from you.
Right.
None of those things are what happened here.
Right.
Now, morally speaking, if you are in a establishment, if you're someplace where you see something like that on the ground, my response to it would be, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to look around and see if anyone is looking like they might have just dropped something. And if not, I'm going to go to customer service and say, hey, listen, someone dropped money on the ground, and turn it in.
Right. And then that
if I'm out in a
person-
parking lot or a parking garage or someplace like that, and I look around and I don't see anybody like desperately looking for it, I am going to hold on to it.
When was the last time you found something like that had, even if it's just a couple dollars, that had some kind of value to it? When was the last time you found something? Because I remember the last time I found it.
I don't even really remember. I mean, it has happened. And I know that I know for a fact there's been a time where I have turned something in to a store because it isn't mine, and whatever. But so and I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it's on them. Then.
Say the person at the customer service thing you take it to, they're going to be like,
thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
That's
They're
fine.
going to Applebee's.
Yeah, well then they're a suspect,
right?
As far as I'm concerned.
The last time I saw, I was at a Battlehawks game. I was at the Dome, and I'm at the concession stand getting whatever I'm getting there. I think I was getting one of their ice cream things. And I looked down, and there's one of those rally towels, Battlehawks rally towels that they had given out, I think, the game before. And so somebody brought it back in for the rally towel. I pick it up, and I'm like, hey, is this yours? Everybody in the line's like, no, it's not mine. I'm like, well, did you see it? No. I'm looking around, I'm like, hey, anybody lose a towel? Everybody's like, no. Well, it's hanging
At that point, you've done your due diligence.
It's hanging in my workout room now.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely have had that happen before, like, someone leftover souvenirs at games, that sort of thing. And again, my response to that is you always look to see if you can figure out who it belongs to.
I audibly out loud went, hey, who lost their towel here? Hey, guys, somebody. And then there were a couple people like, well, I guess it's yours now. I'm like, well, you're my witness. I'm trying to give it back.
I'm going to have to call the police in Georgia on you.
Apparently you will. So, it's in Walmart. So assuming that the person who dropped it is still there. But I got to tell you, if I walk around and I see 20, 30, in this case, $30 laying on the ground, I am going to look around and go, hey, whoever. But I know that if I hand it over to the customer service, it's probably just going to buy them a 12-pack after work.
It might be, but I don't want the responsibility.
Right.
That's
so now in the parking lot, I agree. Fine on the sidewalk, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even know if the person was in the store.
Right.
Why did Walmart call the police? That's what I'm wondering.
That's what is not part of the story. We don't know why they called.
His initial answer, look, we respond if they call, is a good one. That part's fine. But why did they call? Presumably because somebody realized that they had now misplaced their $30 and went to report it?
See, that would be the only thing I could think of when they refer to the victim deciding not to sign a complaint and press
That's not
charges.
a victim.
Right.
That person is not a victim except for of their own, carelessness.
So, because the cops were called, and this person, I'm assuming, probably had no idea until the cops actually got there to question about it. If the person that found the money had left the store, would they be fleeing a crime scene? And then would they have the cops show up at the
Right.
person's
There's no
house?
crime there.
Yeah.
There's literally no crime that's been committed.
And do the police have the option of showing up and taking statements and going, there's nothing here. We're not dealing with this for $30?
I would absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we see them do that. We've there are multiple stories where police respond to a call and then say, well, you all work it out. We're going to stay the heck out of it. Yeah.
I would have taken the $30, put it in the evidence locker, make them come down to the station, pick it up. You want to waste our time with something like this? All right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm puzzled by three things, I guess. Well, at least two. Walmart deciding that the cops needed to be involved. I mean, clearly, I guess someone reported that they had dropped the money, and then Walmart went back and looked at its video.
And put the video on social media. Yep. Or the still shots.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't understand, why they felt the police needed to be involved, and I don't know why the police are referring to it in these terms, other than they're just not thinking it through. Because there's nothing prosecutable here. Literally, the person did nothing wrong.
Right.
There's no law broken. Morally, you could say, well, you know what, you shouldn't have pocketed it. Maybe you should have turned it in. Okay, but that's a judgment call,
Sure.
and particularly if you look around and literally no one is looking for it. I'm not going to say someone's a horrible person because they were like, hey, my happy day.
Yeah, I don't think the guy did anything wrong when he went, I just found $30. I don't think he would have been doing anything obviously bad by turning it in and saying somebody lost $30.
Yeah.
Well, also, and I think the context matters as well. The person had the money in their hand or in their pocket and then immediately noticed that they dropped it, went to grab it, but the individual that in this case found it snatched it before they could grab it in quick succession, then obviously I could think that there could be a case made that you were intentionally stealing. But if it's like you walked away never having even noticed it,
the video shows that he just kind of was walking and looking around. He's like, huh? Oh wow.
Then Hopkins points out that there's an ancient common law that covers the situation: finders keepers, losers weepers. So
right. And there's no police involved in that saying. So I don't know. I'm very we've had two. There's a recurring theme today. It's like policing, over policing.
Yeah.
Policing the small stuff. And I understand broken windows theory, but I mean, come on, this isn't that.
No.
Cooking for your neighbors isn't that. I don't.
Can you imagine being the dude who gets a call from, because the guy looks like he's probably a middle-aged guy, so he sees it on Facebook or his wife sees it or his kids see it, like dad or uncle or whoever, you're all over Facebook. The police are looking for you.
You're going to be on the next Crime Junkie podcast.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna be on the podcast. You're gonna end up doing 60 minutes, interview with true crime or whatever.
For $30.
Yeah, over $30. And this guy is probably going, it was $30 and it didn't belong to anybody at that moment.
it's going to be a very interesting Netflix documentary.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you could ramp things up and say, let's say it was $100 bill or something that a bigger amount. And then it kind of starts having a different import to it. But I just want to point out, we were talking about, Grandma Kathy Kite fixing breakfast and getting, a threatening letter from the county government. And this person getting called in by the police because they picked $30 off the ground. But Lisa Clancy stole a sign while a police officer was watching and is not getting any trouble.
Right.
So if we're talking about ticky-tack crimes and non-crimes, it seems like there's a weird juxtaposition going on there.
Yeah, but this guy who ended up with the $30 isn't elected to the county government.
I agree. I'm saying it's even more egregious, the juxtaposition there. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Hey, I'm curious, by the way, on social media, let us know. What have you found that you went, mine now?
A key law enforcement association in Missouri now says they support limits on how Flock and other companies handle surveillance data. We're going to explain what they mean at 7:20.
Destination, making cold mud to fight your war. had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Everybody wants me to dance. Could you imagine FDR dancing?
On News Talk STL.
This is your cousin God.
Columbo and Company.
Big changes could be coming to social media platforms as Meta pays up to $17 billion to settle the lawsuit against them. We'll discuss the impact Thursday, plus Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Hawley, I grew up in North County. The subdivision that I lived in, Goldwater Creek, ran through our neighborhood.
The federal government dumped radioactive waste into the water, into the air, and they knew about it. They've done it for 70 years, and they've lied about it. And people in our state and in that region in particular have gotten sick and died.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hi, this is Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
All right, I don't want to belabor the flock discussion here because I think at this point, at least until something changes in the law or something's proposed, I think we've covered most everything we can cover with it. So I don't want to have the same conversation over and over and over. But one thing that is new is on the Missouri side, some key law enforcement groups, at least one, now admitting that there is a problem. So law enforcement is stepping up in some degree to say there's a problem. We do agree with some limitations or restrictions on it, but it may not go as far as what a lot of people want. We'll get to that in just a moment. So obviously, a lot of news all over the country, all over the world. RedState.com is where you can keep up with that and get the opinion talking points and debates to go with it. So Susie, Deputy Managing Editor for RedState.com, what should I look for first today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
First thing you should look at today is the fact that we got a new site redesign that went into effect yesterday, and we're still getting used to it too. Some people are fans, some people are not. It's a different look, but everything is still there. Just you have to kind of get used to the new layout.
What? Change?
I know.
Change?
Change. I actually like it. And there's a special dedicated corner to my Morning Minute now, so I kind of actually like that as well. But I do want you guys to check out these articles. This one, top of the page right now from Rusty Weiss. Leftist influencer just risked 20 years after bragging he donated to newly designated terror group. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Brian Krasenstein. He's one of those kind of online influencer people that's an annoying troll on the left.
Yeah.
Anyway, he kind of went out of his way to say, well, I just donated to this group. Well, that's a group that's been designated as a terrorist.
Which actually is a crime.
It's
for
a
supporting
federal
terrorism.
Yeah. So that was pointed out to him, and he was still defensive about it, and now he's taken that post down.
Well, don't you know who he is? He has followers.
Yeah.
That makes him important.
Yeah. So
He's gonna
anyway,
steal a
if
campaign
you
sign,
want to exactly, if you want to check that story out from Rusty, go look at that. This one, I think people will be interested in, from Jennifer Oliver O'Connell. Baby Gabriel update: emotional testimony as surrogate mother faces baby's biodonors in Dallas court. Yeah, that is still, that court battle is still going on. Jennifer's got the rundown on that. The latest.
Is
on
this
that.
the case where they're suing her for damages for going through with the birth?
I think this might have to do with the custody, because I don't think they're going to sue her in Texas court.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah, they wouldn't. I don't think they'd win.
They're going to
there.
sue her in California.
Yeah.
So no, I think this has to do with who's going to ultimately have custody of this child.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, from Sister Told You, the GOP's big Senate flip opportunity that is flying under the radar. We've seen a lot of emphasis on Michigan and Maine and that sort of thing. Well, this is a different state that no one's really talking about, but she points it out and spells it out in her article.
That could go blue to red, she's saying.
Yes.
Okay, and where would we find that article?
On redstate.com.
There it is. Okay, 7:21 right now. Here's an interesting, I guess, kind of update to the whole license plate reader thing. It's easier to say Flock, although Flock member is just a small part of this industry. Flock is just being targeted because they're the ones that tend to have their data accessed and abused, and there's more issues with Flock. I couldn't even tell you the names of the other companies right now because they seem to be flying under the radar as well. So here's flying this right with the Flock. Here's what we found. I found this article on MissouriNet. And the president of the Missouri Sheriff's Association, Matt Euler, he says that, as an association, they support limits on data retention. Now, we're talking about what he's saying and then what he's not saying as well, because overall, law enforcement's kind of on their heels right now because they're getting opposition from groups and people and voters that normally are with them most, if not all of the time. And that's what's different here, because in Missouri, you think about the Missouri Sheriff's Association. For the most part, they're really good on policy stuff.
Yep,
they're good on the Second Amendment. They're good on a lot of these things. So here you've got law enforcement, and we've talked about some of our friends, that we have on the show from time to time. They're not in a panic, but they're really upset that there's so much pushback against Flock and these other license plate readers because it can be and is often such an effective tool for finding people. Well, for all the reasons it's an effective tool for finding people, are all the reasons that people have a problem with this because it oversteps the bounds of what government should be doing. So it's like, yes, we agree with your premise of what these things can do. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy answer to this, but it comes down to that kind of age-old balancing act between safety and liberty.
Right.
Security and liberty. And, Benjamin Franklin summed it up perfectly with his saying, which I'm going to forget now. Because
those who sacrifice liberty for security deserve neither, or something along those lines.
Along those lines, yes.
Okay, so here's the thing, is that there are some issues out there that I think if you fall on the other side, I think there's just a problem with you and your worldview and your morality and your ethics and things like that. I actually think on this particular case, you can make an argument in good faith on both sides of the issue.
I think so too.
There are a number of those issues that I can disagree with you all day long and twice on Sunday, and still go, but I think your heart's in the right place. Okay, on the issue now, I think that there are probably areas where law enforcement is like, okay, fine, maybe there's a Fourth Amendment problem, but we can catch the bad guys. Don't you want us to catch the Amber Alert? Don't you want us to catch the human trafficker? If somebody kidnaps your grandma, don't you want us to go, that kind of thing. Not entirely disingenuous, but I do think that people are saying, hey, don't we want the cops to have all the tools that they need or that they want? I think that can come from a sincere place.
Yeah.
I still disagree in that I think that can these be done in a way that respects our privacy? It can be done. Is any law enforcement interested in that? I don't think so.
Right.
Can it be done in the way that we discussed before, which is what I don't want to belabor, but the Cliff's Notes version is, if you're actively looking for somebody and you've got the tag that you're looking for, it seems that the technology is very, very easy to be scanning everybody and only record the ones that you have a hit that's hot, that there's some kind of red flag on, and the others never get recorded.
Yeah.
That, to me, seems like that would fall well within what those of us who have some heartburn over this would say. So what is not being said in this article and this interview with the Sheriff's Association president is that they're not saying we shouldn't be able to collect all the data. We shouldn't be able to store all the data. We're just saying that after so many days that we agree it should be deleted and that Flock should delete it as well. So let us do the surveillance and mass data collection for a little while, but then we promise that we're going to delete it and you just trust us.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it falls short. And so I think what's happening right now is that law enforcement is looking around going, our friends are mad about this.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little bit on our heels. So let's go ahead and point out what we agree with. And then hopefully we can still preserve the use of this technology overall, even if we have to give up something on this.
Okay, I got to throw another wrinkle into this.
Okay.
I agree with you in the idea that, like, if they're proactively looking for a specific vehicle, that sort of thing, this is a great tool. And I think most people would say, well, yeah, you got an Amber Alert situation, and we need to find this particular vehicle.
On the occasion that the Amber Alert might actually be real.
When those are real. Yep. I'm going to go off on a tangent. I don't want to do that.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I know. I learned how the Amber Alert came to be, and it's kind of a sad story, but it's a great story. But anyway, no, I'm thinking about in terms of, okay, what about a situation where they don't know in real time, but something has happened and like a day has passed.
Mm-hmm.
Now they know we need to see who was in that area at this time.
That's the argument they make.
Right. And I mean, I can see, again, as a crime junkie addict, I can see the value of that in certain instances, like a real value to that. So I'm not sure that I personally am completely opposed to the idea of the collection with the time limit of disposal, non-retention.
Yeah, because what they're basically saying is, hey, we'll meet you in the middle on this, declaring that this is the middle.
Yeah.
Whereas, and I'll generically say the pro-Fourth Amendment side. Now, I know there's going to be debate as to what's Fourth Amendment not, but I'll just generically say that. They're saying, but the surveillance and data collection in the first place is a violation, and we shouldn't tolerate any violation because if you open the door for it, we know what the history of government does when they're allowed to take a little bit. It's the inch versus a mile thing.
And I see that, but let me throw another wrinkle in. What about the fact, let's do away with like the concept of the flock camera, but let's talk about the fact that businesses and individuals have all kinds of surveillance. A lot of places have cameras on them now.
Many homes.
Yes. And when something happens, law enforcement will go to those businesses and those homes and say, can we review your footage? Is that like...
I personally view those as two different things. One, because they're pursuing evidence in something that has specifically, they're looking for somebody. This is after something has already happened and they're looking for the evidence. And secondly, putting up a camera on my own property. I don't know that anybody would argue surveilling my own property is a violation of anything. And if it's voluntary to hand it over to the police or through a subpoena process or something like that, then I've got far less concern about that than we're going to do. It's not really prior restraint because they're not, limiting what somebody can do.
Prior collection.
It's prior collection with no probable cause whatsoever. That's where I see the two differently.
And that's what I wrestle. But that's what I wrestle with because it's like I do see the genuine value of having that the ability to have access to that information for a period of time. But I also recognize, I'm a liberty-minded person. I'm a fan of the Fourth Amendment. Absolutely. So, I'm not a fan of the concept of a surveillance state. So I struggle with that. And I don't know what the answer is.
Because when a police officer, like our friend Tom Weitzel and some of the others, when he goes, this is an invaluable tool, we have to, I think from the police perspective, I think that they sincerely mean we're trying to catch the bad guys.
Yeah.
So I don't want to discount the motivations behind law enforcement on this. I think, but when you have two goods that are crashing into each other, I think you have to side on the side of the argument that limits government from extending beyond what it should be doing.
Err on the side of liberty.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Speaking of questioning government, should the government stop someone from knocking on your door and trying to sell you something? A St. Charles County community is debating that very question right now. We'll explain what's happening at 7:35.
from the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert 4 forecast. We're going to continue to look at mostly sunny skies, highs towards mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue through Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87. Then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking for mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scott.
This is Larry Connors, and this is a fact. Nobody beats John Beal on roof repairs or a whole new roof. Sure, some might offer you a cheaper price, but you're not getting the same quality material and work John Beal provides. I like John Beal's approach. If you want a cheap way out, just understand you'll be doing it all over again. Sound like a smart idea? As I said, nobody beats John Beal Roofing. Call my friend John, 1-800-JOHN-BEAL, 1-800-JOHN-BEAL.
Larry Connors Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Plus, Vincent's can customize jewelry for your clients. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors Commentary on News Talk STL.
I have a confession to make. Well, several, but where do I start? Let's start with a hard one. I confess that at one time I thought about being a politician. In my senior year in high school, I ran for vice president of the student council. I got elected promising I would work to create a teenage club where we could all go and dance. It was an empty promise. I got the votes, but I had no idea how I was going to keep my campaign pledge. Thank goodness for short-term memory plus graduation. And those who voted for me were off to their future. Against fossil fuels, saying the struggle for the Green Deal is a struggle for racial justice. In one social media post, he stated in caps 5 times, "I believe in the Green Deal." He did that in a state with a history of building gas cars. Now he says, "I no longer worship at that altar." So how does he avoid this past? Do what I did. Say anything to get elected, then walk away from it. It is, way too often, the nature of the political beast.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
45 years ago, Stefanina's and Randy's Jewelry opened their doors in O'Fallon, Missouri, and you've been part of the story ever since. Join them for Anniversary Week as Stefanina's team up with Randy's on Friday, August 28th for a pizza party. Enjoy jewelry discounted up to 45%, gemstone giveaways, limited edition anniversary t-shirts, and a chance to win a Blackstone pizza oven. Get details and RSVP at randys-jewelry.com and help them celebrate 45 years in business.
The Laborers International Union of North America, Local 110, was formed in 1933 and from the beginning has strived for progress and the well-being of others. The laborers of Local 110 are hardworking men and women who take pride in their great work. They are the fastest-growing union of construction workers and one of the most effective unions representing plants and quarries. Laborers Local 110 has the best medical benefits, pension, education, and heavy construction training in the market. Visit lu110.com and start your future today.
When your commercial or industrial facility needs repairs, who do you trust? Commercial Facilities Maintenance gets the job done right every time. From plumbing and electrical to asphalt, concrete, and fencing, we handle it all. Occupied job sites? No problem. Multi-phase projects? We've got you covered. We offer seamless communication, quality handiwork, and a cost-free estimate within 1 to 2 business days. Visit commercialfacilitiesmaintenance.com or call 314-226-3839.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Do you see Skillet's in a controversy right now? Do you see this?
No.
Out of the frying pan into the fire?
Yeah, kind of. I see what you did there with that. No, apparently one of the bands that's like opening up for them got a new singer, and there are some personal lifestyle differences between that person and Skillet, which is an unapologetically Christian band. And so they're like, they fired this band. They won't let us on tour with them just because the new singer has an OnlyFans or something like that. And Skillet's not saying anything. They're,
Wow.
And so the fan base of Skillet went, hey, do you know who's, and so I don't know if I don't know what the thing is. It's just funny that Skillet is controversial or stuff like that. I don't know. Interesting stuff here. All right, 7:36 right now. Okay, St. Louis County now has the panhandler ordinance in the question there. But now a St. Charles County community is discussing door-to-door solicitors. Not the same thing.
No.
At all. So should the law say you can't knock on somebody's door and ask them for something? I find this story fascinating, what's happening in Wentzville right now. And Dan Fox with Mid-Rivers Magazine joins us right now, and they're covering it. And Dan, this is where I found out about the story at your all's website, which we'll put out there in a minute here. So let's start with, what is it that's been proposed? And I know that they were going to talk about it last night, but I haven't heard how the vote went on that. So what is it that's being proposed, and then how did things go, if anywhere, last night?
So what the proposed bill is a tightening up of sorts of the city's existing solicitation ordinances. Basically, what the new update does is it has a more regulated increase of fines for repeated violations for unlawful solicitations, and also has provisions in there that can hold the employers of solicitors accountable. So if you're a business and you are employing solicitors that are doing violations of city code, which includes things like not getting a solicitor's license or soliciting in businesses that have, the no solicitor sign, then the contracting entity can also be fined as well now.
Dan, do you know what was the impetus for this? Because maybe I'm just kind of oblivious, but I haven't heard a lot lately about like door-to-door salesman solicitations really being that big of an issue. So was there something that set this off?
I haven't heard of a specific incident that set this off. Oftentimes cities will just go through their codes and clean things up and modernize it. And I suspect that's what's happening here, is just a continuation to refine the city's ordinances that they have on book.
We're visiting with Dan Fox from Mid-Rivers Magazine. Okay, so how did the vote happen last night? Because I know it was on the schedule at what point. So are there any updates from last night?
Yeah, so the vote happened last night, and it passed with no discussion around the vote. So it's in effect now, and really the ordinance isn't going to be a night and day difference. All it does again is just refine what was already on the books and allow the city to keep tighter control over unlawful solicitors.
Okay, so what is considered unlawful? You mentioned not getting a license from the government to go knock on doors and ask people about stuff. Because I've had people knock on the door wanting to sell roofing and all that kind of stuff. I've had them wanting to sell internet service. So what's considered unlawful in the city of Wentzville, and probably many other cities around the area too?
Yeah, I'm sure if you look at many other city codes, you'll see the same things popping up. But a big one, not getting a solicitor's license, that's a big step for these municipalities to make sure that the people who are going to be going around knocking on people's doors are legitimate. They collect information about the solicitors, their employer, the types of services they're doing, and that helps the city know that there's reputable solicitors going around. Also, like I said, if you go into a business with a no soliciting sign, that's a violation. Utilizing misleading or deceptive tactics or practices, failing to leave a building if you're asked to leave, these sort of things. A lot of common sense sort of things that cause these, what would constitute a violation.
And Dan, let me jump in there real quick. You mentioned a couple times, going into business, but this would apply to homes as well, right?
Yes, yeah, this would apply to homes as well. So if you have a business or a residence where you have like a no soliciting sign and someone comes up to solicit, that would be an unlawful practice under the city code.
So I'm not trying to make light of this, but I mean, to me, when I saw this at first, my initial thought was like Girl Scouts selling Girl Scout cookies, which they don't actually do door to door that much anymore, not like we did in the old days.
No,
but
we took the candy bars
but
around.
the candy bars for the to raise money for the baseball teams, the even the people that like sell magazine subscriptions, which is another way, so those are like relatively innocuous sort of things, but those aren't obviously entities or people who are going to be obtaining solicitor's license. How do they draw that line, if you know?
Yeah, it is funny because I remember as a kid, we had the magazines and you go sell like cakes and cookies and stuff out of that. And the nice thing about this sort of thing is you have the discretion of both the city administrator and the police officers, when applying laws like this. But the law actually does draw a distinction between canvassers, which is a non-commercial activity, or solicitors, which is a commercial activity. So things like Girl Scouts, nonprofit organizations, event promotions, just handing out flyers, like that falls under canvassing, whereas solicitation is a much more like commercial focus.
Okay, so like for instance, what I'm hearing you say then is like a church wanted to go canvass a neighborhood and invite people in, or campaigns wanted to go knock on doors for their candidate. Those would all still be allowed. It's just, hey, well, you want to buy this thing from me?
Right. Yeah. If you're selling a service, roofing, internet, that's solicitation. But if you're, hosting a barbecue in your backyard and you want to invite all your friends in the neighborhood and you're knocking on doors, that's not going to be considered solicitation.
Yes, but if you're in Boone County, they might send you a nasty letter about it. Sorry. Call back to an earlier issue on this show. I guess to me, and there's really probably no way to answer this, particularly since there wasn't really any discussion or debate over it. It doesn't sound like the community was up in arms over this. Like you said, it sounds more like this is just them kind of updating an ordinance and clarifying some things.
Yeah, well, solicitation it's one of those things that just it feels like it gets less and less popular as society becomes more and more digitally based. So the door-to-door salesman is not a very popular career for a lot of young folks. So I think it's just going to be something that sort of goes the way of the dinosaur before too long, as the internet and digital marketing and all these other ways to reach new customers keeps coming out. So it's going to be a relic of the past, I feel.
Okay, so worst case scenario, Dan, I've just got a minute or so left here, but somebody is caught knocking on doors without a license, saying you want to buy my stuff. What's the worst that can happen to them under the new law in Wentzville, under the new ordinance?
So on a first violation, it's a fine between $200 and $500. That increases slightly for second violations, and third violations, it ratchets up the minimum fine. And then as an absolute nuclear option, the code does have a provision for up to 90 days of imprisonment, but the city was pretty adamant that was just in there because it's in all of its other codes, and it was not a likely option at all for something like this.
Any part of the discussion, because I know some of it was last week, Dan, and I don't mean to tack on to the discussion here, but was there anybody who brought up saying, hey, we got to be careful about First Amendment stuff here?
I don't know about First Amendment specifically, but Alderman Robert Hussey, he was in opposition to the jail time for knocking on doors, just as he thought that was excessive. But like I said, the city was saying that's just, it's in the city code as it is for a lot of other ordinances. But no one really brought up a First Amendment complaint or concern regarding this.
Okay, Dan Fox, Mid-Rivers Magazine. I'm sure that the update's coming on the website, and then the print edition, which people can get from you all. Where do they get in touch and follow this and actually all the other stuff that you're covering right here in our backyard?
Well, if people want to get the newspaper for free, they just need to go to midriversnewsmagazine.com/subscribe. And if you live in St. Charles County, we'll mail it to your house.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. All right, as a reminder, we want your 80s bump music requests for Flashback Friday. That's right, it's a free-for-all Flashback Friday tomorrow, so please get your requests in to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
From me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it. It's scratching on the walls, in the closet, in the halls. It comes awake and I can't control it. Hiding under the bed, in my body, in my head. Why won't somebody come and save me from this?
Hey, it's Susie here. Listen, if you're thinking about something as significant as replacing your windows, you want to know you're going with a product and a company that you can trust. That's why I want to tell you about Window World. So let's talk about their product. Window World windows are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient, they're built with double strength glass, which is not typical for replacement windows. They also come with a lifetime warranty. That covers parts, glass, breakage, labor, and they don't just do windows at Window World. Everything on the exterior of your home they can help you with except for a garage door or a roof. You also want to go with a company you can trust. Well, with Window World, you know that they have a sincere commitment to customer service. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week, which is not very, typical either. You can get a hold of them on the weekend. If you got a question, you got an issue, you can get a hold of them. Their commitment to customer service shows. Over half of their customers are repeat customers or referrals. They've helped improve the look and energy efficiency of over 80,000 homes here in St. Louis, and the St. Louis location is owned and operated by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. Also, with Window World, it's a company that cares because of their commitment to the community. They've raised over $4 million over the years for charities like St. Jude and Action for Autism. And there's one other thing you're probably looking for if you're thinking about new windows: great value. Right now, you can get 36 months, same as cash financing. So what are you waiting for? Give Window World a call at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
You slept 8 hours last night, so why did you wake up exhausted? Here's something worth considering. Maybe you don't need more sleep. Maybe you need better sleep. That's where Snooze is different. We listen to how you sleep, what's bothering you, and use advanced pressure mapping to help find the sleep system that fits you. And right now, our Labor Day sales event means some of our best savings of the season. Snooze Mattress in Chesterfield. Finally, a mattress store you can trust. Because when you sleep better, everything gets better.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Actually, just talked to Billy on the phone last night. There's some crazy stuff happening in some Jeffco government stuff, some big time drama.
Oh boy,
like big. There were people like hauled off in handcuffs earlier this week.
Oh my goodness!
At a meeting in one of the communities. I think we're going to talk about that probably tomorrow as well, because I'm talking to them on the phone.
And Jeffco.
Yeah, and it wasn't even. There were like two separate different things, and I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a lot. Let me come up with a plan to get all this, but you're going to want to hear that. I don't know when he's going to be on, or maybe his better half, Lisa, who runs the Jefferson County Review, going to be on tomorrow. But it's going to be some spicy stuff, and there are good government questions involved in this as well. So we're going to get to that. Okay, let's see here. We just talked about it, but I'll give you the basic details. Law enforcement group in Missouri says they support limiting Flock's use of surveillance data.
Okay.
And listen to what I said. Listen to what I did not say.
Right.
They did not say they support the use of limiting Flock just of the data after it's collected.
Right. Not the collection itself, the
Right.
use of it.
Correct. Also, social media is paying up. Will that make being online safer for kids? Basic details here in just a moment. And in about 15 minutes, Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway is going to be with us. And the Cardinals, they participated in the game this time.
They weren't just observers.
They were not just observers like the night before.
Okay.
They did participate. They didn't win, but they participated.
Step in the right direction.
All right, coming up on 7:51. Let's do another news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by STL Fenceworks. The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
The Missouri Sheriff's Association says they support adding data collection, not data collection, but data retention limits on license plate reading camera networks. Association President Matt Euler tells MissouriNet that they want to see limits on how long that tracking data can be stored, and some sheriffs want requirements that the camera vendors, including Flock, be required to delete them after that specific time. Now, this comes as multiple communities around the state, around the country, really, are ending their contracts with Flock, in particular over privacy concerns, over data collection concerns, and over storage concerns, and, of course, about the multiple cases of abuse of the system altogether, which has happened right here in the St. Louis metro area multiple times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those conversations, those topics that really people have become very animated about and very concerned about.
Yeah, without a doubt. Now, what they did not say was that they support limits on the use of the cameras or the collection of the data, just on the retention of it.
Right.
So let's hear what they're saying, but also note what they're not saying as well. Yeah. That article, there's a story on that. It's not very long. It's on MissouriNet if you want to look that up. Okay. U.S. War Secretary Pete Hegseth on Wednesday, marking the 5-year anniversary of that terrorist attack that killed 13 service members at the Kabul airport in Afghanistan. We now know those 13 as the Freedom 13. Here is the secretary talking about those service members.
When the wicked sought to sow terror, these men stood as lions at that gate, bold in their purpose, fierce in their resolve, and unbreakable in their courage.
And, of course, among those would be Wentzville's Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz as well. His father, Mark Schmitz, actually gave us the flag that's hanging right behind Jerome right now in the studio. So whenever you tune in and watch us on video, that was given to us by Jared Schmidt's father, which we proudly display here. The DOJ saying this week that law enforcement disrupted a hacking operation being conducted by China against key infrastructure in the U.S. We're going to see this thing more and more and more and more. Attorney General Todd Blanche was on Fox's America's Newsroom, and he says that the people responsible were sponsored by the People's Republic of China directly, and he says they were targeting multiple government bodies such as the U.S. Senate and also of NASA, and he says, yeah, this won't be the last one.
They're going to reload and try to come at us again, and so this is a fight that we're going to continue to have, but this is a great job done by the FBI and National Security Division here at Main Justice, and then the Southern District of California U.S. Attorney's Office.
Okay, so the DOJ put a statement out essentially saying that they were targeting sensitive U.S. networks. Court documents in the case also show that the group involved offered computer hacking services to paid customers, so basically digital vigilantism, such as the People's Liberation Army. And the interesting thing of what Todd Blanche was saying in that discussion to me, Susie, is that this wasn't like rogue communists, they just hate the West. This was directly a state-sponsored attack.
Yeah. I mean, it's serious stuff.
Yeah, I firmly believe that the next wave of terrorism will not be stuff that goes boom. It will be stuff that goes click, 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 click. It will be digital. It will be taking on the infrastructure.
And taking out the infrastructure.
Right, exactly. It'll be going, and we've seen this already around the country, going after water treatment plants, cutting off water supplies,
Energy
cutting off
plants.
utilities, cutting off, in the case of a ransomware attack a couple years ago, the oil supply. That's what it's going to be, because they don't have to get to the U.S. borders to do that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that sort of thing that's going on here. Okay, we're going to talk about the Meta settlement here with Attorney General Catherine Hanaway in about 9 minutes as well here. But another set of lawsuits going on. Several states once again suing to block the Trump administration's effort to restrict mail-in voting around the country. New lawsuit focused on the new rules that the post office announced that would require states to provide a list of eligible voters and then to overhaul the envelopes used for the mail ballots. Attorney General Arizona Attorney General, I should say, Chris Mays, blasting the new rules.
Over my dead body is that rule going to go into effect. We are going to fight this tooth and nail in the courts.
And, of course, this comes after the U.S. Supreme Court this week basically issued a decision that allows the Trump administration's order regarding mail-in voting to stand. And I'm using a lot of words there to say they didn't decide whether it's legal or not. They just allowed it to be in place while the court challenges are going on.
Yeah, and just to be clear, that was about the executive order. The Supreme Court case was. What she's talking about is the Postal Service actual final rule that it issued last week. So this is the Postal Service trying to implement the executive order.
Exactly. So basically, the order still stands. Yeah, so they're going after another angle of it here. All right, Cardinals lose their 5th game in a row despite scoring 6 runs in the 5th inning, and they tied up the game at that point. Last night's final score was Orioles 8, Redbirds 7. Orioles scored the winning run in the top of the 9th. Series wraps up this afternoon starting at 1:15. Also, 2 more Battlehawks get NFL contracts.
Oh.
Yep. Linebacker Michael Barrett was signed by the Ravens. Outside lineman Sincere Hayesworth, that's his name, Sincere Hayesworth.
I like that.
Yeah, he was signed by the Broncos. So now keep in mind, that doesn't guarantee you that you're going to see him on Sunday if you watch the NFL. It just means that they get a shot now in preseason. If they don't make the squad or they don't get hired by the practice squad, they could very well end up back in the UFL.
Right.
And that's the good and the bad of what's happening with the UFL is that there's over 100 UFL alum in the NFL right now.
Sure.
Yeah, so
they end up kind of being like the scouting team for
the UFL ends up being the development system for the NFL,
farm team,
right? Which is part of what it was designed to do. But the good news is that you know that when you go to a Battlehawks game, you got pro quality talent and really good players. The bad news is that if they're too good, we don't get to keep them.
Yeah,
that's the problem with it. It's a double-edged sword there. I'm just saying.
At Body of Health, we're a small but mighty family operation with big ambitions for your health. I'm Helene Tobler, and I'm jazzed about how our MRI-grade body composition analyzer is putting personalized health and wellness on steroids. It helps me and Dr. Tobler, that's my husband, refine the advice we give to help you feel better and live longer. Body of Health, trusted, discerning, affordable health care the way it ought to be. Learn more at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
Craving hot chicken so good it ruins all other hot chicken? Welcome to Slaps Hot Chicken. Juicy, bold, always done right. From no heat all the way up to the Reaper. Try our famous loaded fries, loaded mac and cheese, and the only loaded fried ravioli you can get. Grab a crispy slider, sink your teeth into our jumbo tenders, or treat yourself to our mouth-watering chicken and waffles. Slaps Hot Chicken, 5950 Highway 94 in Weldon Spring. You've got to come in and try it for yourself.
Lower your car payment today. Lower your car payment today. Yes, you heard us right. You can lower your car payment right now by making this free call and save up to $1,400 a year on your current car payments. Think about your current car payment right now. What's that costing you per year? Now think about what it would be like to put an extra $1,400 back in your pocket. That's the average savings our customers experience. We can help you drive the same car and pay less every month by lowering your car payments interest rate to as low as 4.67%. At Rate Genius, we can work with you to refinance any car payment. If you qualify, it costs you nothing to find out how you can lower your car payment. To learn more, call this number right now.
800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. 800-493-5670. That's 800-493-5670.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Armit Thomason. One eyewitness says they never had a chance. People scrambled to escape a towering wall of water, mud, and debris. It came roaring down the mountainsides of Nepal and neighboring Tibet. sweeping away everything and everyone in its path.
Over 1,000 people have been left missing on the Nepal-China border after a series of floods caused by a glacier collapse swept through the area. Rescue teams in Nepal are scrambling after a catastrophic and deadly torrent of floods and mud swept through several communities, leaving hundreds of people dead. More than 1,300 remain missing, including foreigners and pilgrims. Hundreds of residents across the Himalayan region were displaced. Videos of the tragedy showed the flood swallowing up people as they tried to escape. Drone footage from Nepal on Thursday showed the scale of the destruction. I'm Karen Shamas.
An ICE officer charged with shooting a man in Minneapolis and then lying about it has been released from a Texas jail. This after Minnesota's demand for the agent's immediate extradition was rejected by a judge. It's a new weapon to be deployed in the fight against pancreatic cancer.
It's called daraxonrasib with the brand name Rasanq. The daily pills block a mutated protein that fuels tumor growth in more than 90% of pancreatic cancer cases. Patients who got the new treatment live for a median of 13.2 months, compared with 6.7 months for people on chemotherapy. One oncologist says this is not a cure, but it's the best option they've ever had. Pancreatic cancer is among the most deadly forms because it is hard to detect before it starts spreading to other organs. Earlier this year, former Nebraska Senator Ben Sasse described on CBS's 60 Minutes how he had less pain while taking daraxonrasib. Ed Donahue, Washington.
The Dow futures down 120 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-555-2085. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-555-2085. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-555-2085 or biglou.com.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert 4 forecast. We're going to continue to look at mostly sunny skies, highs towards mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue through Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87, then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking for mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Calling all Patriots. Join the St. Louis County Republicans for the annual Lincoln Reagan Day Dinner, Saturday, September 19th at River City Casino. Our keynote speaker, Newsmax personality, Rob Carson. Enjoy a full night of fun and information alongside state and local officials and candidates. It's an evening you won't want to miss. Dinner and program, just $75. For tickets, email Renee Artman at hotmail.com or call 314-398-6667.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
The Vic Borselli Show.
Nate Lucas from Eric Burleson's office will talk to us Thursday. We'll ask him if the representative knows about the McCarran-Walter Act of 1952. That's Thursday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Shut this sucker down.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get Up St. Louis.
You're not supposed to lie, but you're definitely not supposed to lie when you're under oath.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, at least $100 million coming to Missouri, possibly upwards of $150 million over the coming years, and that's part of the settlement with Meta. So what's going to change when it comes to kids being online, though? Because that's the whole purpose and that's the whole center of what this massive lawsuit and now this massive settlement was involved, and it involved most of the states in the U.S., including Missouri. And Attorney General Catherine Hanaway joins us right now. Catherine, appreciate you being back on the program here, kind of fresh off the news that this settlement is in place. Let me first kind of start with, at this point, which details do we have ironed out and which details still need to be ironed out as far as what Missouri is going to receive from the settlement? And then the follow-up question, I'll just tell you right away, is going to be, what is Meta agreeing to change?
Yep, so super great questions. And Mike, I think you have really nailed it in terms of the relative importance of the new controls that are coming into place and the money. It's a lot of money, but the things that are going to be life-changing for kids and parents are the controls. So with respect to the money, Missouri's share is between 100 and 150 million, and what will decide how much we get within that range is who else we go after, because this is just a settlement with Meta. And, you know, obviously their platforms are Facebook and Instagram, but we don't have settlements yet with TikTok, YouTube, Snapchat. And so Meta wanted to incentivize all of us as states to go after those other platforms. Obviously, Meta wants to compete on a level playing field. We want to do it because we want kids to be safe online. So that's what'll make the difference, whether we continue to be aggressive. And I can assure you that we will be. We already have in the works right now an action against Roadblocks for what they're doing in terms of grooming kids on that gaming platform, frankly, that is targeted at kids.
One, as we've been covering this and reading the stories on this throughout the morning here so far, you know, obviously one of the interesting things about this is 47 states, I think, are involved. So this isn't a red or blue thing. You know, a lot of consensus among the different states regarding the social media platforms, among the accusations, making it too addictive, and then others with the material that's been developed or targeting the kids, and then also allowing kids basically underage online when they're not supposed to be in the first place. What's the difference between just good marketing and you want to get as many eyeballs on a social media platform as possible, and it's up to the consumer and it's up to their parents, versus going too far in trying to manipulate that?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and I like to always kind of draw it back to the real world. You know, we all kind of roamed around malls when we were kids, but our parents never would have let us roam around malls if we knew that there were, you know, tons of people in there who were going there, if the very stores were there for the purpose of grooming children to be the victims of pedophiles, bullying, it impacting young girls' self-esteem and body image, actually, you know, sort of grooming the behaviors that ultimately result in suicide attempts. And all of that is happening online. So what we've said, first of all, is let's get this down to, and our parents didn't let us go to the mall in the middle of the night or during school hours. And so the restrictions that are on Meta now are pretty common sense. Number one, kids can't be on between midnight and 6 a.m. Kids can't receive push notifications during the school day. Kids can't scroll for more than 2 hours, and after 15 minutes, there'll be a pause so the kid can kind of look up, is this really the best way for me to be spending my time? And at 60 minutes and at 90 minutes, and if we're able to get agreements with these other companies, we'll shrink that total time down to an hour. So there's lots of incentive to go after the other companies. There's lots of good controls being put in place by Facebook and Instagram.
So is it fair to say that you're satisfied or mostly satisfied with what Meta is offering and what they say they're going to put in as far as these controls to settle this lawsuit?
Yeah, so that's always a tough one when you settle a lawsuit. Was I hoping we would get a little more money? I think the controls are pretty good. I really do. And the other thing that everybody should know is it isn't just that they've agreed to the controls. They've also agreed to an auditor that they're going to pay for who will be making sure that these controls are in place. And if the attorneys general get reports saying that they don't have the controls in place, we're still free to sue them again. So they really are going to be policed on these. In a perfect world, I would have gotten more money. I will say this to you, though. It's not a perfect world. Missouri has not had to invest $1 in pursuing this case. We didn't have to hire outside counsel. We didn't have to go through a bunch of discovery. Bringing a standalone case against a company like Meta would have cost the state millions of dollars before we had any recovery. So it is a great deal for Missouri.
We are visiting with Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Is this money going to be designated or earmarked for any programs, or what's going to happen once that money is received? And my understanding is this isn't going to be one lump sum payment. This is going to be over the course of a certain number of years.
Yep, it's over 10 years, and it will, in all likelihood, be divided between general revenue so the legislature can use it, and some of it will go, as it should, into the Consumer Fraud Fund, which funds our efforts to keep doing cases like this.
Is Missouri involved in the lawsuits and the pursuit of Snapchat and TikTok and some of those others, like Pennsylvania Attorney General Sunday is already suing them? So is there going to be involvement in other cases?
Yeah, 100% yes.
That's easy enough. And then also, let me go back to when we talk about, the dangers that were happening online with the kids. And obviously right here in the St. Louis area, you've got the Megan Meyer Foundation that came from all those years ago of cyberbullying and that sort of thing. What's the right role of government in this case, whether it's civil or whether it's criminal? And how does that compare to ultimately the role of parents to watch what their kids are doing and that sort of thing? So where should the rules in the government be versus we hope you do the right thing, but it's not government's job? So I know it can be a gray area depending on who you're talking about, but in this digital world, this is all setting the framework and the foundation for these policy discussions to come down the road.
Yeah, so it's number one, it's always the parent's job first, 100%. And parents, even though the technology is often running ahead of where the parents are, like engage with your kids, talk to your kids about where they're going, what they're doing online. We used to talk to them about where they're going, what they're doing in person. Frankly, we need to get them out doing more things in person. It is a delicate balance in terms of what the government should do, balancing safety and protection against privacy rights. To me, the mandate's clear here. We should do everything that we can to protect kids. And, the government has responsibility for highways and the public airways like radio and television. To me, this is the modern public airway, even though it's private, but we need to have some controls over particularly what kind of content is being pushed to kids, how much time they're spending online. We have to protect our kids, and parents can't do it alone in a universe that is as big as social media.
Are there tools that, whether it's your office or federal prosecutors or anybody else from a civil or even from a criminal perspective, are there tools that you'd like to see added by law that the legislature should look at when it comes to tech and social media and things like that? That, because the reality is the tech is developing faster than the policy can keep up with in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't know that it's like technology or tools. I think that we need to target outcomes and that there should be penalties for providers who are allowing the grooming of children, the manipulation of young women's body images, the bullying of kids, because the technology is going to keep skipping around. The tools are going to keep skipping around. I mean, right now, we need to be anticipating where AI is going to take so much of this stuff. And so I think what we need is legislatures, regulators, law enforcement who are focused on defining what outcomes we don't want to have and making sure that we're prohibiting those and putting the onus on the technology companies to make sure that they're screening for that and make sure that they're the ones because they have the very best technologists, computer scientists in the world working on their for-profit products. They have to assume a huge part of the responsibility to help us in protecting our kids.
Okay, so regarding the settlement, I know that it's not a completely done deal yet. What is the status of that? Does that still need court approval? Does that need to go through all the states? Or at this point, is it pretty much agreed upon and we're just waiting on the signatures?
Yeah, no, all the parties have signed, including me. We had until 5 p.m. on Tuesday to sign. We do need the court still to approve it, but Meta and all the states and territories have signed. So we're very close to the finish line. I can't imagine that the court isn't going to accept the settlement.
All right, Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Always good to talk to you, Catherine. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Okay, I mentioned this a little bit ago. Be a little different than what we normally talk about because one of the bump music artists that Jerome plays that gets a lot of reaction is Skillet. Yep. One, they're darn good, really, really good. I've seen them in concert. They're a lot of fun. They're also overtly Christian, which is secondary to a lot of people. They just like the music. Well, they're in the middle of a big controversy, and people are accusing them of being too judgy and restrictive and censorious, and other people are saying they're just sticking to their principles. I'll tell you what's going on, and then you tell me what you think. That's at 8:20 right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away. Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin God.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL.
You know, one of the things I like about so many different homes and subdivisions and communities around St. Louis is how much unique personality the homes have. There are some areas, yes, that I know are just kit built and all the houses look the same. And you know, that can be your home too. Don't get me wrong. But so many great homes have that great brick and they have that great ornate woodworking and stoneworking. But how about those others that have those decorative retaining walls and they have those garden walls and they have those seating walls and they have those stone pathways? You know where a lot of those people are getting hooked up with those materials? Lee May Concrete Block. Mike Ferguson here for Lee May Concrete Block. Check him out, LeeMayConcrete.com, and tell him Mike was bragging about him on the radio. That great, unique stone walkway, they've got them. You just need ready-mix concrete for something, need to fix the drive or the patio. They can do that too. Don't get me wrong. Check him out. Just go to Lee May Concrete. Say, here's what I want to do. Maybe here's a sketch of it. They'll tell you what you need, and they'll even give you tips on how to make it happen yourself. But that takes your house from just a place to hang out to that home that's unique that other people want to be at. It's a great quality of life and just adds to your family. Create those memories with your kids with that unique home. Lee May Concrete Block. Tell him Mike was bragging about him on the radio.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield. Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line. where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Larry Connors here. I begin my morning every day with the Mike Ferguson Morning Show while I'm doing my 10-mile run. Catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
And, of course, you throw in some Skillet bump music right there. Well done.
Of course, I had to.
You know, it's funny because Skillet is huge. Now, I worked in Christian music radio for a little while. Not very long. We'll never do it again. That's for sure. You know, a lot of, and I really don't listen to Christian music anymore, contemporary Christian music. Just some of it's really good, and I've met a lot of the singers, and they're pretty nice folks, and I've seen a lot of their shows. You know, but sometimes it's you know, like anything else, you know, a little cheesy, whatever the case is. But with Skillet, they've got this massive crossover success. I think there's a lot of people who love Skillet who don't realize this is an unapologetically Christian conservative band. They don't get necessarily into a lot of politics, but if there's like moral issues, their lead singer is a guy by the name of John Cooper. Very thoughtful, interesting guy. Very smart guy. Very interesting. And so he's pretty open about where his faith is and where the band's faith is and you know, that sort of thing. And you can agree or disagree. They're not going to pressure you on that. They just put out great music. But if you go through all their lyrics, you're going to see where they're coming from. That's one of the reasons a lot of people like them. Other people like them just because they kick butt.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying not to cuss because it's a Christian band. I don't want to offend the fundamentalist, you know? You know what I'm saying? But here's where they've ended up in the controversy. And I actually heard about this. Was a day or two ago, I was listening to, I think, the Octane channel, you know, some of the harder, newer rock that they play out there. And they play a lot of Skillet. And the DJ on there, and I forgot her name, but there was they've got Skillet's back on tour. I don't know if they're coming to St. Louis or not. If they do, go see them. I've seen them, and I saw them, gosh, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, whatever the case was. I saw them a long time ago. They put on a fantastic show. I mean, really good show. But one of the bands that's was scheduled to be on tour with them as an opening act is a band called Bad Wolves. You familiar with Bad Wolves, Jerome?
I've heard a few of the songs.
Yeah, I've heard a few of them. They're all right. They're not bad. I guess they got a new singer. And the female singer, what's her name? Sarah something or other, but her nickname is Killboy, Killboi. I don't know what that means, but Sarah Killboy something or other. And then some of the fan base on social media for Skillet said, hey, she's got an OnlyFans. Now, I don't know anything about her. And some of them were accusing her of being trans OnlyFans, and she's like, no, I just have an OnlyFans. You know, and so apparently she does. And so Bad Wolves suddenly is no longer on the tour, which is a big money-making opportunity to be on a tour of a band that's big. Okay. And there aren't that many concert tours that are making money right now. Not many at all. And so this is a big loss for them. And of course, you know, you get a lot of the music media that's out there, which tends to, when they get into cultural and political stuff, they tend to be more on the left. And, of course, they're trying to stir up, you know, a bunch of opposition and canceling Skillet. You know, they're not going to say it that way, but, you know, basically it's, you know, they're being judgy. Who are they to say, you know, this is a good band? They're censored. Well, Skillet's not saying a thing. And if I were their communications or public relations guy, I'd tell them, just let it blow over. It's going to blow over. But then the question they're coming up to is, who are they to tell them that they, you know, can't have that singer? Well, Skillet's never said that. But they may be saying, this isn't worth a headache. Or they may be saying, we travel and do our music. Our music has a message. And if somebody's distracting from that, then we're the ones spending millions of dollars to go on tour, you know? So I actually looked at it. And I think you found out about this from me.
Yeah.
Which is unusual because he's the one who's tuned into the music scene a lot better than I am. And so I'm hearing the story and I'm reading a couple articles on it. And I hear this DJ talking about it yesterday or day before. And I'm thinking, I think y'all are just looking for something to complain about, because then you end up with somebody who says, these are our principles, and we're going to stick to it even if it costs us some grief or a little bit of money. We're going to go ahead and do that. Well, when the musicians on the left get out there and overtly, preach at you over politics or say you can't come to my shows, I'm the first to say they've got the First Amendment right to decide that or not. I've got the right to decide whether I'm going to buy tickets to it or not, or watch their videos or buy their music. That's just free speech. First Amendment also includes freedom of association. And if they decide I don't want to do business with somebody for whatever reason, well, that's their right. Okay, I think most people agree on that. The question then is, do you agree personally with the decision, and should they be worried about what these artists do in their private life? Because apparently she put out a statement, the singer put out a statement, the band put out a statement, saying, yeah, she does a side gig, shall we say. I've never seen it. I've never heard of her. But like I said, Bad Wolves is all right. That is a band. I think they couple songs. Couldn't name them off the top of my head, but I remember hearing some of them going, hey, that's not bad. I like the hard rock stuff, as you all know. But from a personal perspective, if you knew Skillet or the bands, what would you tell them?
Well, I think because of the faith element that Skillet has, and sort of the not only the branding of the band, but like the image and just the personal beliefs that they have, it makes a lot of sense to not want to give a larger platform to somebody that's engaging in content production that you disagree with.
Right.
It's like if you were one of these children's bands like the Wiggles or whoever, you wouldn't necessarily want somebody that's got that kind of content where people might, hey, I like this band.
And that's happened a couple times. Like, it turns out that some of these children's actors and performers actually in their other gigs had some questionable things. And then people are like, hey, you can't do that and that. And they're like, I'm doing that's not for the kids. This is for somebody else.
Saved by the Bell did it first, but anyways.
Oh, that's right.
Anyways,
I forgot about that.
So this reminds me very much of a earlier case as well. And I'm not making this up. So a band or group, it's a duo. I believe that they're either married, but it's a guy and a girl called Twin Temple. They do satanic themed doo-wop music.
Wait, say it again.
They do satanic themed doo-wop.
Satanic themed doo-wop.
Yes, like the old kind of like.
No, yeah, I love doo-wop.
Yeah,
not the satanic version, but
I don't know that needed to exist, and I'm surprised that there's anybody doing that in 2026.
How did you come up with that idea?
Exactly. I got a lot more questions than I'm going to be able to answer, but there's he's like a soul blues kind of like singer-songwriter named Charlie Crockett, and he didn't really know too much about Twin Temple, but he's a little bit more of that same, like the clean-cut, sort of family-friendly performer, and so the Twin Temple group got added to like as an opener for his act until he found out that you guys use like occult imagery and you do a lot of this stuff, like very overtly satanic presence on stage, and it's like, well, I don't really want that affiliated with my act, so of course they removed him from the tour. So I get it. I mean, you have to think too, music is not just about expression, it's an actual brand and identity, being if you have a specific audience that you're trying to cultivate, or a specific vibe or something, there's a reason why people go to a Skillet show, and and it may not have anything necessarily just to do with the music. It could also be the atmosphere of people that show up.
100%.
And I'm not knocking bad. I mean, there are a couple bad Wolf songs I like. I'm not going to stop listening to them, but that is something that has to be conscious of the performance.
And a lot of times these the bands, the ticket, the bill that's put together, the management just does that. The production companies do that. And so what probably happened here is Bad Wolves was on there. They had another singer. They hired this new one. Probably no one knew any different. Then all of a sudden the fan base goes, hey, did you know?
Yeah.
And then like what you're saying is they're going, just not gonna fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never heard Skillet say a thing about him. They haven't said anything. I've never heard them say she's a bad person, or whatever the case is. They're just kind of saying, yeah, let's just put somebody else in there. And sometimes people overthink it. Now, this other thing you're talking about, I mean, first of all, I'm still trying to get my mind around satanic doo-wop. But I've been to shows where, the imagery has been like overtly like for instance, the Rob Zombie.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I knew it was going to be dark and Halloween-like, but I'm like, holy crap, that was like overtly satanic.
It's basically like going to a haunted house and a concert at the same time. I mean,
yeah. And you know, there are different, you know, lines of that. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne did that, and you know, there when he died, the people who were close to him, they were like, he was actually Orthodox Christian. You know, Alice Cooper does that. I saw Alice Cooper a couple years ago. He's outspoken Christian, and he's like, it's a character, and he doesn't do all the songs that he used to do, but you know, and so with this case here, I think it was more like, you know, freedom of association. And I look at this as one business, a group saying, these are our values. We could take the easy way and just not say anything. But in this case, we just kind of said, you know what, it's not going to fit. It doesn't match our principles and why we're doing the business that we're doing. And remember, Christian rock and Christian music is a business. I met several of them who were like, well, this is our ministry. I'm like, it's a business. There's nothing wrong with trying to make a business out of your faith, you know, in itself. Now there's some people that abuse it, but I said, I just don't have an issue with it. And I think the people who are trying to rile up everybody else about it are just looking for somebody who's succeeded in a mainstream world while being culturally conservative. And I don't know what their politics are, but culturally conservative and being faith-based and outspoken about it. I think they're just trying to cut them off the knees. And so far, I think the fan base has been, we can agree or disagree. Maybe we thought should have left them on, but we like what they're doing, and we're going to keep going.
And maybe Bad Wolves and Twin Temple can get some sort of tour going.
Well, see, the thing is, I don't think Bad Wolves is like overtly like they're not. This just like the singer has a thing, and you know they're like it may not fit.
Yeah. Now, if joined in a little bit later into that conversation and have no idea why we were even discussing satanic doo-wop or fans, just letting you know, we do have a podcast where we upload all the discussions, so you can catch up on what you missed out on earlier. That's Mike Ferguson in the Morning on your favorite podcast platform.
Name another show in this country talking about satanic doo-wop. I dare you.
I've got to fight today to live another day. Speaking my mind today. I've got to make a stand.
From the NewsTalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your First Alert 4 forecast. We're going to continue to look at mostly sunny skies, highs towards mid-80s this afternoon. Humidity going to be lower levels. That'll continue through Friday. Looking mostly sunny, high of 87. Then the heat ramps up. Talking upper 80s Saturday, mid-90s by Sunday. That'll continue through portions of next week. The best news out of all this, though, going to be looking at drier conditions. Looking for mostly sunny to partly sunny throughout this time period, but going to be very hot into next week. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scott.
Fox News Commentary with Jimmy Thela. Next.
My name is Amanda Klutz, and I'm a widow. You enter a different reality when you lose your husband, especially as a parent. Life insurance doesn't fix it, but it helps. With Ethos, you can get covered in minutes. No medical exams, up to $3 million in coverage, and it's all online.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Jimmy Thela calls out a Democrat senator for riding the socialist wave.
There's a lot of people out there that have watched this last 10 years of politics transpire that don't feel served by either party because they genuinely don't like Trump and they don't really feel represented by anybody. That's where the socialists are filling the void. They're at least showing up and saying things like income inequality while they sit in mansions that their parents bought for them. I understand they're, as hypocritical and as ridiculous as anything they're running against, but the average person might not. Okay, when you see somebody like Chris Van Hollen come along just trying to game this wave of stupidity, okay, he is being as opportunistic as everybody else out there. Is he a lying sociopath? Yes. Did he embarrass himself shielding for illegal immigrant gang members over American citizens? Yes. But does that rule him out of the modern Democratic Party and any chance at upward mobility? No.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Looking for a fresh eating alternative for you and your family? Head on over to CJ's Restaurant and Bar in O'Fallon. CJ's literally offers something for everyone, from young to old. We're a casual American eatery with a wide-ranging menu of pastas, salads, and sandwiches, all served in a comfortable, warm environment with a family-friendly atmosphere. From vegetarian options to hearty classics. We offer dine-in, carry-out, catering, and even have a banquet room for your special events. Come see us or visit us on the web at cjsofallon.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Very active, very fun chat box. Cindifer.
Hi, Cindifer.
Hey, how you doing? She says, yo, Vic, baby. Verbatim, yo, Vic, baby. With an exclamation point. How else are you supposed to read that? I was driving, had to pull over to comment. I was going to say how sexy the beard is, but I'm afraid of your wife.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I would be.
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
From Satanic Doo-Wop to Steel Panther.
You got to have a little Steel
You know, there's somebody who's going to look at me like, Mike, what is wrong with you? And the answer is going to be, I have no idea. If you can solve that, you probably make money. 8:36 right now. Okay, couple things going on here. Remember that case of St. Louis County Councilwoman Lisa Clancy actually observed committing a crime, according to the St. Louis County Police. And I remember saying, because this happened this was in late July, I want to say, mid or late July, something like that, right before the primary election.
It was somewhat recent.
Yeah, because it was right before the election. She was supporting Brian Williams for a county executive, which she got a right to do. A lot of people did. And then she was observed by a police officer stopping her car on a secondary thoroughfare, getting out and swiping a Brian Williams for executive campaign sign, throwing it in her car. And they figured out later, because he observed it, took down the license plate, called it in, figured out that was Lisa Clancy. And he said, the police officer said, yeah, it looks like there was a lot of signs in her car. Now, what you can't tell for sure is, were those a bunch of Brian Williams signs that were stolen, or were those like Jake Zimmerman signs who she was supporting as she was going to plant somewhere? You don't know. So what was at issue was that one sign that she was observed taking and driving off with. And so the St. Louis County Police said, well, this happened in Clayton, so we're going to refer it over to Clayton PD. Our hands are clean. You can go do what you want with it. Clayton PD says, yeah, we don't just take cases from other agencies and they're going to tell us what we're going to pursue and not pursue. It's their case. Our hands are clean. We're not doing anything with it. So to their credit, the Post-Dispatch followed up on this. And they did a story on it last night. Joe Hollerman wrote it. And he basically pointed out, he goes, the sign disappeared and so did the case against Lisa Clancy. And they called the county prosecutor's office and they kind of, did the proverbial shrug and went, nobody's filed anything. Police haven't brought any charges. Nobody has. And so the bottom line is that Lisa Clancy is not going to be held accountable for doing this. Is this the crime of the century? Not in the least bit. Do both police departments have a lot bigger things to worry about? Absolutely. However, she is an elected official, a fairly powerful one, because county government is a strong government as far as influence and regulatory control and things like that in St. Louis County. So should there be a much higher standard of behavior? Absolutely yes. Is there going to be any accountability? No. Did we all know this was going to happen? Absolutely. We even said at the time, we're like, nothing's going to come of this, other than she got some bad headlines and it's bad PR, but she runs unopposed. Nobody bothers to run against her because it's such a blue area.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that essentially the government suppressed the First Amendment rights of the person.
Well, see, that's an interesting thing. That was one thing, and Hollerman wrote about this, and Susie mentioned that to us. Is like, okay, she's a government official, but she wasn't acting on behalf of the government, but she absolutely is a government official. So is there a gray area there?
Again, this just might be my own personal philosophy, but yes, the way I look at it is that even if you are not showing up with like armed guards to take down all the signs of your opponents,
Right.
because you don't like them, I mean, there are different levels of severity in the intentions and the actions of something, and so you don't stop being a police officer just because you're off duty. You don't stop being a media personality just because the microphone's off, right?
Interesting point, yeah.
She is a government official regardless of whether or not she is serving as a official government duties at that time. So you still have somebody that should have the self-awareness of what their position is and what they do and how it looks having somebody supposed to represent the people also trying to deny somebody their ability to express or to advertise and campaign for themselves.
I think you make a very strong argument there. I seriously, not joke. I think that's a really strong argument there, and I think everybody would agree on there should be a higher expectation. And I think you just use the word awareness. She knows that there's a higher standard. Listen, if I'm going out and I know that if I do something incredibly stupid, don't get me wrong, I do dumb things. One of the reasons I got the gig. But I'm also aware that I live in the public eye by what I do for a living. I live in the public eye. That means that there is, I look at things and look at what I'm going to post and not post and what I'm going to say in public. And, when somebody gets stupid with me out in public and wants to argue or something, I'm aware that there's a different lens on me for what I do for a living. Lisa Clancy should have that even more so.
Yes.
Anybody who's elected to office, somebody does something stupid and you're completely justified in getting in their face and telling them to F off. You can be justified in it, and in certain positions, that it's just not a good investment of your time and energy. And is that fair? No. But is that the reality? Yes. But in this case, it is fair to expect more from somebody who's elected to office and has been in elected office since 2018.
Yeah. So in terms of, I don't think we were going to expect the cops to actually put it.
No,
I mean, that's maybe if she'd found $30 on the ground.
That's
they
right.
would show up
Yes.
and do
Back to
something about it,
back to the Facebook.
But
story.
I do think that as punishment, she should have to put maybe one of those signs in her front yard, and or be part of the campaign next year for
That's
whatever.
right, for Jake Zimmerman.
Because
Yeah.
I don't want to say there has to be social consequences, but I do think that if we get too permissive of it's too small of a thing, then it just really encourages people to keep doing little petty things.
The broken window theory.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Yeah, not the one from Hazlitt, the economic one, but the broken window theory of crime and stuff. Yeah, and to that, and I also think it's a matter of be above reproach when you're elected to office. I think we should expect more from people who are elected to office. She's got embarrassment on it. Even the story that says there's no case against her because nobody wants to bother with it. It still reminds people that she did it.
Yeah, and again, you have to, in certain roles, you kind of have to know you need to be a role model for others.
Yeah,
and so that's I guess disappointment. If we could just shun shame, maybe this is the punishment: is that you get called out and
and on a station like this, her voting block and her voter base does not care that we're pointing out and shaming her because we're the conservative ones. They don't care. We're going to disagree on basically everything anyway.
Oh, of course. And then, of course, if it was a conservative that took one of her signs and did something like that, then it would be all
and I would shame that person too.
Yeah, don't.
I think
touch people's
the whole
stuff.
sign stealing thing that we see every election is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Just leave the signs alone. That way I can silently judge who's ever in the house when I drive by their yard. So think of it that way. Don't deny me the right to know who I'm silently judging appropriately or not. It's my hobby.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I guess they are in a way kind of like yard bumper stickers. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Like why did you take it upon yourself to say, yes, on my property, I want the world to know this?
Right. I'm about to drive by a vehicle and it's got an attractive woman in there. Am I gonna smile and that sort of thing? Oh no, wait, she's got a Bernie bumper sticker. I'm not even looking.
Wow.
It's not about them. It's about me. No, it's not.
Okay, but there are some very badly designed signs, though. Surely, if it's an eyesore, then we're justified in getting rid of them, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's every year we get the story of somebody stealing somebody's signs. I mean, heck, when I've run for office, I've had my sign stolen. It's
kind of a badge of honor, though.
It happens every single time, and every single time, it's one of the dumbest things. And that's what I would hope in our camp here on the right, if we find out that our folks are doing it, that we call them into account, and that we let them know that it's as bad when our side does it as when their side does it.
Yeah, but I mean, as a politician, though, I mean, if yours was stolen, that means you were at least relevant enough that somebody considered you a valid target. So congratulations on that. Now, we know a lot of you guys it's getting around that time now. We're going to have to get on the road and go do some stuff, which means that you probably won't have a radio with you, but you will have a phone with you. And you can turn that phone into a radio if you download the free NewsTalk STL app. Tomorrow being Flashback Friday, of course, you might be having to get up early, gearing the kids to school, and or go do some chores. Doesn't mean you have to miss out on the fun, though, if you have the free NewsTalk STL app.
I got the grace of a dancer, a golden voice. People seem to hate me like I had a choice. Being this blessed is a lonely way to be. It's a burden being wonderful like me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On NewsTalk STL.
Your trees do a lot for you. Shade, beauty, curb appeal, but are they safe? Clever Tree Service has been protecting St. Louis homes and landscapes for over 20 years. Pruning, trimming, removal, stump grinding, even 24/7 emergency storm service. Fully insured, eco-friendly, and always focused on you. From Kirkwood to Chesterfield, Webster Groves to Wildwood, your neighbors trust Clever Tree Service. Visit clevertreeservice.com for your free quote today.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder reminding you to check out my new show this weekend.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
Tired of big corporate repair shops? J&J Auto and Tire is family owned and St. Louis proud. 16 years of honest answers, even when it's not what you want to hear. Digital inspections sent straight to your phone, videos and photos of exactly what we found. No guesswork, no pressure, just a trained service advisor helping you make the right call. Contactless drop-off, loyalty rewards, fleets welcome. All backed by a 2-year, 24,000-mile warranty. J&J Auto and Tire on Page and Overland. Honest repairs, real people. Book today. JamandJAuto.com.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right, let's wrap up with the things you need to know or just want to know as you head into work here in just a little bit. A law enforcement group in Missouri says they support limiting Flock's use of surveillance data. Now, there's a lot in there that I said, but there's also some things in there that I did not say. I'm going to parse out what they are saying and what they are not saying here in just a moment. Social media is paying up. Will that make being online safer for kids? We are only partway through that process. Also, Cardinals, they lost again last night, but they did better than they did the night before, so at least there's an improvement there. 8:49 right now. Let's do one more news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Great American Divers.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
This is interesting, and I found the story on Missouri Net. The Missouri Sheriff's Association says they support adding data retention limits on license plate reading camera networks. Okay, that's a lot of words. They're not saying that they are supporting limits on the cameras themselves or the surveillance or the data collection, but they are saying, in responding to the public outcry, saying that they support limiting how long that data can be held. Association President Matt Euler tells Missouri Net they want to see limits on how long the tracking data can be stored, and even some sheriffs want requirements that the camera vendors, like Flock, be required to delete that after a specific time. They are recommending 10 days. Now, this comes obviously as multiple communities around the state are ending their contracts with Flock in particular over privacy concerns and data collection and storage and the abuse of the systems of people getting into it, law enforcement and otherwise. We've had, 3 cases right here in the St. Louis area in the last month or two alone.
Yeah, well, having a privately held would essentially be a crime database to some degree. There's just something fundamentally wrong about that. And we already see issues with predictive policing, I guess you'd call it,
Right.
or people abusing the system. So if you successfully petitioned a judge to expunge a crime, you still have that record because of the Flock stuff. So
Yeah, and that's what's interesting is that article, and it's not a very long article at all. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more in-depth stuff that you could find around, but this is a basic outline. And so you've got the Sheriff's Association saying, yep, we see the problem with the privacy and the surveillance, and nobody wants to live in the surveillance state. So let's just limit the surveillance state to a week and a half, is essentially what they're doing. And so what it sounds to me is like, we're going to meet you in the middle here. We want to keep all the technology in place, but we promise that we want it to be deleted just like you do. Whereas others are saying, okay, thanks for meeting us in the middle, but the point is we don't want the surveillance and the data collection on people who are not suspected of crimes in the first place. Is it better than holding it on in perpetuity? Sure, but the point isn't how long they're holding on to it. It's the point that they get it in the first place. That's the difference in the debate.
yeah, and I think we both independently came to the same sort of idea where why not just have it be like a warrant type where here is a specific license plate that we believe is associated with this. Let's put it in there.
Yep.
And then if it pings, it pings. And if not, then you're not having just random access to everybody's.
It shouldn't be recording in the first place.
Yes.
And the technology is there to not record
Yes.
something. So that's where it's at. And this is, again, an area where I think both sides can argue in very good faith and have their heart in the right place. Other than probably Flock, who's probably making a bunch of money off renting and massaging and selling the marketing research data.
Yeah.
Probably, allegedly. I don't know. But I'm just saying is that I think you can defend the use of the cameras and disagree with me and still be of good faith in your arguments. I'm just putting that out there as well.
And defunding Flock is not synonymous with defunding the police.
Not the same
I'm tired
thing.
of hearing that argument. I just want to put that out right now.
Yeah, and some of our friends are making it, and I think they're wrong
Yeah.
on that. Okay, DOJ announcing on Wednesday that law enforcement has disrupted a hacking operation being conducted by China.
Ooh.
And this was targeting key infrastructure in the U.S., among other things. Attorney General Todd Blanche was on Fox's America's Newsroom, and he says the individuals responsible for this attack or this attempted attack were sponsored directly by the People's Republic of China, a state actor. He says they were targeting multiple government bodies, among other things, such as the U.S. Senate and NASA, and he warns this won't be the last time.
They're going to reload and try to come at us again, and so this is a fight that we're going to continue to have. But this is a great job done by the FBI and National Security Division here at Maine Justice, and then the Southern District of California U.S. Attorney's Office.
So we're not talking about a rogue terrorist group, somebody involved with like Hamas or any of those, Al Qaeda or any of those, because while those groups come from parts of the world that are basically still in the Stone Age, they still have some of their kids who know how to get online and do hacking. We're talking about one of the most advanced technological nations in the world, state sponsoring attacks on infrastructure and key sensitive government things. My guess, and I would say I hope that I'm wrong, but it doesn't matter because the alternative is, the more violent explosions. But I think the next wave of terrorism is going to be attacking infrastructure and water and power and oil and electricity and things like that. That's what the next wave of terrorism is going to look like. It's going to be in the cloud.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about how much damage could be done if anybody banking went down, and
Right.
and so you know how many of us actually carry cash anymore?
The hospital ends up getting crashed.
Yeah, I mean telecommunication, GPS even.
Right.
They disrupt your ability to use Google Maps. I mean, so much of our society, we've become so reliant on technology. You don't necessarily have to do anything 9/11 style to cause major impacts.
They stopped the train right there on the highway at the crossing. If you want to know what that's like, drive on Route 3 in Sauget at some point.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be stuck there forever. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. What else we got going on here? Looks like St. Louis County Councilwoman Lisa Clancy not going to have any consequences for stealing at least one campaign sign before the primary election. Clancy was supporting State Senator Brian Williams' campaign for county executive, and police say she was observed taking down a sign for Jake Zimmerman, who ended up winning the Democratic nomination. Prosecutor's office says neither St. Louis County Police nor Clayton Police have followed up with any charges, and when asked for a story in the Post-Dispatch, both departments basically said, we got better things to do. I mean, that's if you read through the lines, that's basically where they were at.
At the end of the day, I mean, I don't like to downplay things, but I mean, it's not the worst thing that somebody's probably ever done politically to another person.
Right.
But at the same time, if you are too permissive of it, then it's like, well, what's stopping them from continuing that behavior going down the line?
Right. Okay, several states once again suing to block the Trump administration's effort to restrict mail-in voting. The new lawsuit is focused on Postal Service rules that were announced that would require states to provide a list of eligible voters and then overhaul the envelopes used for the mail-in ballots. Arizona Attorney General, her name is Chris Mays, blasting the new rules.
Over my dead body is that rule going to go into effect. We are going to fight this tooth and nail in the courts.
Okay, so the rules might go into effect, and she's still going to be living and breathing when it happens, just to point that out. So this lawsuit comes after the Supreme Court issued a ruling and a decision allowing the administration's order on mail-in balloting to continue. So the Supreme Court has not said the issue is settled, and they're not saying that his executive order is legal or not. They're saying while the case proceeds, that the executive order can go on. And so this is a lawsuit targeting the post office's rules, which are in compliance with that executive order. So we'll see how that turns out here. Cardinals lose their fifth game in a row despite scoring 6 runs in the fifth inning to tie the game. Last night's final score was Orioles 8, Redbirds 7. Orioles scored the winning run in the top of the ninth inning. Series wraps up this afternoon starting at 1:15. Also in other news, Missouri is going to get between $100 and $150 million from the settlement with Meta regarding Facebook and Instagram. If you want to get details on that, go to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast, anywhere you get your podcast. And we just had a conversation with Attorney General Catherine Hanaway, who laid out all of the details on that. That's going to be posted probably in the next 60 minutes, something like that.